Vimos que NC Fox queda en cuarto, Erika OF en tercero, y ahora se van a disputar aquí el primero y segundo lugar.
Sí, señor.
Y Crossover.
Estamos en la gran final de este World Warrior Blink Battleground, señores. Fidelities versus Crossover. Crossover del lado del winner, Fidelity Puerto Rico versus República Dominicana en esta gran final. Agresión en la esquina de esta Yuri. No se puede no confiar Crossover. El salto con la chiquita, la conversión con el chorrio medio. Cuidado ahí. Chiquita, chiquita, chiquita parado. La presión de Ken, la media del dry rush. Consigue el throw, quédate ahí en la esquina. Cuidado. Y Fidelity, si te das cuenta, inmediatamente alguien que camina hacia atrás mete un puño pequeño para no coger chimmy. Así que tiene los checks activos el Fidelity. Vamos a ver, caminando hacia atrás Crossover. Fidelity buscando entrar. Venía con el dry rush. Y lo interrumpen con ese Hadouken. Hadouken nuevamente. Otro más que se le pega el Hadouken chiquito ahí. Estaba intentando saltar neutral. Presión de Crossover. Se prende con el level 2 aquí. No, allá es Fidelity. Buenos bloqueos. Excelente defensa de Crossover. Pero otra vez la agresividad. Abre con la media bajada. Va por el full combo. El throw. En problemas Crossover. Buscando ese golpecito para la victoria. ¡Oh! Excelente throw ahí de parte de Fidelity.
Sí, Fidelity es muy bueno en la toma de decisiones, muy inteligente, señores. Recuerden que él está del lado del loser, le quiere decir que él tiene que ganar 2 peleas, 2 sets, si quiere coronarse. Ahí está el Chin Buster en Punish Counter, lo tiene en la esquina. Vemos que le ha dado muy buen uso esa patada mediana a Fidelity. 2 para adelante, estrellón, la clásica. Utilizando el recurso del parry. Da por los pies, el trade. ¡Wow! A pesar de que fue trade, logró convertir, aprovechar la situación. Esta es una situación que pasa mucho en este Street Fighter, que a veces 2 golpes conectan, el tuyo lo deja en más stone y puedes, a pesar de recibir el golpe, poder continuar tu combo. Ahí está Crossover con el combo, el ataque hacia la esquina de Yeosis. Corner carry.
Bueno, hacia el corner, Crossover buscando las opciones. Cuidado. Excelente ahí, vamos a ver. Throw. Señores, allá Fidelity en el loser, buscando opciones, quiere resetear el bracket. Hadouken de parte de Crossover y la entrada de Fidelity llevándolo poco a poco hacia la esquina. Está en el corner. Ok, puño chiquito de Ken que tiene una distancia de puño increíble. Cuidado ahí, Hadouken nuevamente, la patada fuerte hacia adelante. Crossover, con el salto, puño fuerte, la conversión del combo perfecta con el uso del dry rush para llevarse la ronda.
Bueno, Crossover buscando poner esto 1 a 1 aquí. Veamos. Decide respetar el espacio, mantenerse en rango, pero con el drive rush se acerca a Fidelity. Otro drive rush más, un estrellón, no para adelante, estamos en la esquina, se sale Crossover esta vez del throw, lo conecta. Crossover, excelente uso de la mediana, conversión a Jin Right Kick para pegarle la patada, la versión de la patada fuerte y alejarlo. Lo abre con la patada fuerte en el aire, en un guante aéreo, drive rush hacia throw. Otro drive rush más tocando la puerta, logra tocarla, conversión con Hadouken, le da su espacio y dice, bueno, déjame darle un poco de espacio, respetarlo. Quiero ser sorprendido con esa patada mediana. Quiero mantener fuera del rango. Consigue el throw aquí Fidelity, el que coge 1, coge 2, se volvió el strike y esta vez lo abre por debajo. Vamos a ver si usa el recurso. Vamos a ver si lo usa. Efectivamente, level 3 y se apodera de ese round. Round súper importante, ¿eh?
Sí, Fidelity que ya picó adelante con la primera, con este round importantísimo, ¿no? Esto le da una esperanza, le da buena energía de seguir hacia adelante tratando de buscar el reset contra Crossover. Puerto Rico en la casa. Recuerden que en primer lugar se lleva $200 y acumula más puntos en este Blink Battleground. Seguimos con las acciones, el throw ahí de parte de Fidelity. Perfect parry a ese movimiento sin ningún problema, la conversión. El throw en la esquina, Crossover en problemas, lo abren con el low, siguen los combos de Jack Fidelity perfectos. Otra vez, sale de la presión con los golpes pequeños, con los golpes chiquitos ahí Crossover. Recuerden que en este juego los golpes chiquitos son los más rápidos, a veces en presión son los óptimos, pero aquí miren esto. No, dropeó el combo, igualmente consigue throw y esto se pone 2 a 0. No se puede confiar. No se puede confiar aquí Crossover porque el puertorriqueño, el boricua, el tipo de PR está buscando el reset y Crossover no puede dormirse, ¿eh? No puede dormirse porque le quieren arrebatar puntos y dinero. Dante Lee.
Bueno, Puerto Rico a punto de resetear el bracket, señores. No se sabe dónde está el dinero y se está viendo muy sólido. Se está viendo demasiado sólido Fidelity al punto que forzó a Crossover a salir a la pantalla de selección como quien
Sí,
dice,
a respirar, a respirar.
tiene
Va a
que
seguir con
hay que
Ken, pero a
respirar.
respirar, claro, claro, a tomarse un respiro, a
Tiene-
pensar. A ver las notas en el celular, déjame ver qué es lo que estoy haciendo.
Tiene que tomar tu respiro. Ahí tira la Dragon Lash. Estaba intentando pescar un posible Perfect Barrier aquí. Fidelity. Lo vemos de nuevo con esa opción del estrellón al 2 para adelante. Uy, eso tuvo que haber sido un error de ejecución. Quizá le estaba buscando un Hadouken en Overdrive y le salió eso. Muy bueno el combo para cambiar la posición. Wow, lo ha estado abriendo muchísimas veces aquí. Fidelity tomando las mejores de las decisiones en los encuentros.
Bueno, Fidelity está jugando muy clean, como tú dices. Oh, perfect parry ahora de parte de Crossover. La respuesta del nivel. Dice, yo te mandé para luces, yo también puedo hacerlo nuevamente. Puño fuerte, pero excelente la defensa de Fidelity ahí bloqueando ese puño fuerte, ese chimi de... Wow, que ese dry rush con ese puño medio, si no me equivoco, ese es el puño medio de Yuri. Ese queda así. Es demasiado bueno, bro. Es demasiado bueno y lo está usando perfecto Fidelity, que se pone a una ronda más para resetear el bracket. Aquí, ¿no? El reset. Y buscar, ¿no?, la victoria de este torneo. Crossover no puede dormirse por el full combo con el level 3. Buscando el máximo daño. Luego de aquí, a ver cuáles son las opciones de Crossover luego de este level 3. Y quitarle casi la mitad de la vida a allá Fidelity, que viene a por el full combo con el level 2. Y aquí tiene que cuidarse muchísimo Crossover de una apertura, porque todos los movimientos de este personaje cuando está así son plus, hay que tener cuidado. Vamos a ver. Cuidadito. La media, dry rush, la conversión. No hay cambio de lado, sino que se va por la taza, buscando llevar la esquina. El overhead. Consiguió el combo. Cuidado con la fuerte hacia adelante. Buscaba el parry. Fidelity consigue la entrada. La media de Crossover. Hadouken a distancia. Otro más. Otro a quemarropa sin miedo. Le saltan a Crossover y nuevo Choryu. Pero esta ronda le da un respiro a Crossover. Da un respiro.
Buen trade con patada chiquita. Standing short. Me gustó. Y buscando el grab, el punish counter le extrayan. Eso hace 2000 y pico de daño. El combo. Cuidado que aquí hay problemas. Tiene pocas barras. Está en la esquina. Le dan. Intentó buscar un estrellón. Excelente.
¡Otra vez!
De nuevo. Otro chimi más. A punto de resetear aquí.
Así es. Yo, el hype es real, señor. El puertorriqueño Fidelity de Red Rooster acaba de resetear el bracket y está buscando robarle el torneo aquí a Crossover, señores. 3-0, consigue el reset. Luego de que Crossover lo mandó a luz el 3-1 del lado del winner, a Jazz Fidelity lo está tirando todo con Yuri. Y miren cómo inmediatamente comienza agresivo y con toda la ventaja de vida. Crossover tiene que despertar, señores. El reset. Aquí, sin barras de dry y en problemas allá Fidelity. Pero mira cómo mete ese puñito ahí, sale de la presión, aunque esté no en burnout. Ok. Excelente conversión. ¡No! Dropé el combo Crossover. Dry Impact, conecta. No lo pega del... Level 1, reacción, manito. Te estoy viendo, dice Fidelity, Red Rooster en la casa. Buscando el dinero, buscando los puntos, señores. Blind Battleground. World Warrior.
De nuevo la misma situación donde hay un trade y es a favor de él porque su golpe lo deja en más stun y puede convertir después de eso. Increíble. Muy buena la situación. Consigue Fidelity ese round. Round importante. Excelente patada fuerte. Ahí en Punish Counter. Que lo pone en la situación de todas las vueltas en el aire. Eso se castiga si efectivamente dejamos el 2 para adelante intentando pescar algo. Choca con el Hadouken. Poco a poco caminando hacia adelante. Crossover defendiéndose con recursos del proyectil. Como quien dice, mantente a raya. Ahí le castigan esa patada fuerte. El estrellón está en la esquina ya, así por así. Otro estrellón más porque el que coge uno coge dos. Crossover salirse de la esquina, paga el precio. No hubo castigo para ese intento de parry. Veamos el trayón por parte de Crossover utilizando los Hadoukens. Salta aquí Fidelity, Hadouken en Overdrive. Le da, pero estaba en el aire. Vamos a ver, necesita este round Crossover. Lo necesita y ahí está. Sí, efectivamente. Reacción al parry. Reacción al Drive Impact.
Esta primera victoria es importantísima para cada uno de estos jugadores luego del reset. Coco Crossover con la conversión perfecta y eficiente para buscar el máximo daño con el level 3 pone en una situación donde tiene que cuidarse mucho ya Fidelity, pero Fidelity con el level 3 también tiene que cuidarse Crossover, no de cualquier punish. Está a punto de ponerlo en burnout. Aquí Crossover a Fidelity el salto, no hay down punch y level 2 Lo ponemos modo Marvel, buscando la apertura, los parries de parte de Crossover, tratando de evadir esos golpes. Más presión, lo abre, consigue la apertura Fidelity a por el full combo y excelente las conversiones. Fidelity, que es un jugador de Dragon Ball también, o sea, le encantan estos combos a Fidelity, él no se lo disfruta. Aquí, Crossover, ya se le apagó el level 2, tiene que buscar opciones de Crossover, la media, el throw hacia la esquina, pero se gasta Crossover, se queda sin recursos Dantelin, y esto podría ser peligroso para él. Caminando hacia atrás, tomando tiempo, a Duken, pero no se puede pegar de la pared, cuidadito, la media, con el Dry Rush, ahí está,
bueno, seco.
el Dry Impact. ¡Oh, qué hizo!
No!
¿Qué? No, igualmente consigue la apertura luego del error.
¡Wow!
Luego del error del Punish, consigue la apertura Fidelity y esto se pone 1-0 luego del reset. El hype es real.
Él estaba intentando cargar el movimiento, pero estaba muy pegado y por eso lo conectó y se le cayó ahí. Increíble. La Dragon Lash, puño fuerte, castiga, sí, eso se castiga en el landing. Muy bueno, parte de Crossover. Y mira, me cabe destacar que, wow, qué parry, perfect parry. Bueno el combo. Fidelity está increíblemente jugando de una manera demasiado determinada. Avanzando, mira, los combos, lo tiene un point. En la esquina, acorralado. Extrae el intento de pescar y se lo estrella de nuevo. 2 veces se lo estrelló. El intento, él salió a pescar ahí, un perfect parry. Estamos sorprendiendo presionando botón.
Bueno, señores, fuerte lo de Fidelity está. Luego que perdió el loser, parece que el tipo dijo, no, yo no voy a volver a perder. Y mira, ahí he visto varias veces que Fidelity salta y no hay down punch de parte de Crossover, no hay Choryu, no hay nada, tiene que tener cuidado con eso, porque está saltando libremente Fidelity. Excelente la conversión del combo, tenemos level 3, exacto, a por el máximo daño. Ahí Fidelity, con Yuri, la araña. Mira cómo le pasa la mano de que lo que es. Vamos a ver, cuidado ahí, throw luego del proyectil, más presión, otro throw, dice que no, Crossover buscando la media, buscando la media para entrar, se acabó.
Oh my God.
2-0. Bueno, señores, Crossover está en una posición difícil.
Mira,
en esta primera fecha de World Warriors de esta región, señores. Fidelity está tirándolo todo, Anthony.
No recuerdo la última vez que vi que alguien le ganara 5 peleas consecutivas.
A Crossover, hace mucho no veía eso, exacto.
Wow,
5-0. Le ganó el primero 5 ya, le ganó el primero a 5.
Varios a la Dragon Lash. Ahí está la conversión, el combo. 2 para adelante, sigue la presión. Crossover intenta defenderse con la mediana y le dice, tú tienes perfect parry, yo también tengo perfect parry. Vámonos para la esquina. Con 2 para adelante. Sí, estaba cubierto. Utiliza el recurso del parry para así llenar barras. Intentó resetear el combo. No sé por qué. Pero ahí está el target combo de patada mediana parado. Utilizando varios puños fuertes para drenarle aquí. Crossover con 2 Dragon Lash. Porque el que coge una, coge 2. Crossover intentando mantener la cabeza fuera del agua para no ahogarse.
Bueno, el muchacho está tirándolo todo. Le han dado 5-0. No ha visto a Linda hace un rato en esta gran final. Está en problemas Crossover luego de reset a Just Fidelity. Está tirando un level de la NASA, manito, por aquí por Blind Battleground. Donde el hype es real. Aquí tirándolo todo. Dry Rush y ya con toda la ventaja. Como te digo, un movimiento agresivo. Personaje agresivo, Yuri. Todo el tiempo en Dry Rush y medio. Buscando esa entrada. Cuidado, Crossover en problemas. El perfect parry en el momento preciso. Y allá Fidelity con una muy buena ventaja. Crossover no gasta el level 3, se lo guarda. Con otro punish es seguro que lo va a tirar. Así que tiene que cuidarse aquí. Fidelity chocan los golpes. ¡No! Se bombió, señores. Y le regala la ronda a Fidelity.
Wow, creo que ahí él intentó quizás tirar un Hadouken en Overdrive y le salió un Dragon Punch en Overdrive. El juego tiene unos nuevos shortcuts que a veces hace que eso suceda mucho. Increíble, wow. Ahí está el estrellón, esto es Smash Point, señores, para Fidelity. Crossover utiliza el recurso, dice, bueno, esta a ver si lo voy a usar. Level 3, muchísimo daño. Le da tiempo a respirar un poco para obtener un poco más de la barra, que tiene ya 2 barras de Overdrive.
Pero cuidadito ahí, Dantelin, que ahí level 3 de parte de Yuri. Fidelity con un punish podía llevarse, este torneo.
Es así.
Sabemos que Yuri hace mucho daño.
Los dos se están midiendo, como quien dice, tiene que respetar el momento súper importante del match. El parry por parte de Crossover. El combo, corner carry, vamos para la esquina, tienes que adivinar la presión, puñito, tocándole la puerta. Ábreme, soy yo, soy Ken. Abre la puerta.
Punish con level 3. Punish con level 3. Esto no mata, pero pone a Jazz Fidelity en una muy buena posición, señores, con una pequeña ventaja de vida, pero Crossover aún sigue vivo, así que tiene que tirarlo todo. Se gasta Fidelity, pero está buscando gastar a Crossover en la esquina. Campeón, señores, de la primera fecha de este Bling Battleground World Warrior, a Jax Fidelity.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of No Neutral. We're here to talk some Street Fighter. I mean, do I have to introduce you every time, Rob? Is that really what I got to do?
I like when you can you please do the introduction, please?
All right, because you asked so nicely, and I know it makes you feel so good about yourself, I'll throw in Hollywood, Rob TV.
Come on.
I have to do this every single time. It has to, it's like starting the engine.
It means a lot to me, Brian. You know what I mean?
Changing the oil. You got to keep Rob's ego well fed in order to keep the energy going. So that's what you got to do these days.
That being the case, I think that we have an amazing piece of content, an amazing topic for all the players at home today. We are about to tell you guys how to achieve master rank. No, that's not clickbait. And yes, these things will guarantee that you make it into master rank. Brian, where are we gonna start with this, bro?
I think the caveat or the little asterisk to mention here to make people's expectations realistic is that I do think it's simple to apply these things in order to improve at Street Fighter to get to a level like master rank, but it's not necessarily easy, right? I think a lot of things in life are very simple, but they're not easy. Fitness, discipline, practicing an instrument, the process to get good at something is pretty simple. You just kind of have to do the same things over and over a period of time, and you will get good at it. However, it's not easy to do that, right? So there is a time investment. There is a level of commitment that you have to have. It's all pretty simple how you get to that point. It's just not easy to do because you have to put the hours in.
It's simple, but not easy. But with that being the case, the first thing for me, 100% anti-airing. Now, I actually, when I say first, I don't just mean we're mentioning it first. That's actually the most important thing that you could do as far as leveling up your game and getting further ahead when it comes to rank matches. If you anti-air, everything else, everything starts with anti-airing because nothing else exists without it. Basically because you can't play footsies, you can't play the ground game, you can't stop somebody from being in your face. And, in the end of the day, if someone is always right there in front of you, just with plus frames, it's impossible for you to just always guess right, to always make the right read. That's the whole point of them being plus on block. So if they can jump on you whenever they want to and be in your face, then it's over with. Right. And that was the case before Street Fighter 6, before we even had drive rush and whatnot to worry about.
Right.
So if you're not even anti-airing,
what we're talking about here applies to every Street Fighter game almost forever. This is universal, because none of these things. If you expect us to get really technical right now, you're mistaken. Because the ways you reach this a really decent level in Street Fighter, it's all very straightforward. The technical sauce that comes after that is to get that extra little mile, to get those extra little bit of tournament wins. It's that's what pushes you over the edge. But yeah, you have to be able to anti-air because, like you said, you have to earn respect in neutral. I feel like a lot of players when they're first starting off, a common gripe they have is wow, this guy's playing so nutty. Wow, this guy's jumping at me so much. He's playing the wrong way. And it's why would he play the right way if you can't stop them from playing the wrong way? You need to also know the subtleties of anti-airing to a degree, right? Understand that when you're at a certain range, this with your character, you can anti-air these ranges. If you're too close, you might need to either do a jump back air to air or avoid the anti-air option altogether. But just know a few basic ranges. Go into training mode, boot up your character, record the dummy doing a jump in with a button, and just practice the spacings where you can press the anti-air and the timing. It takes a full second. One Mississippi. You can react in that time. Trust me, it is not slow reactions. It's bad preparation that makes you not able to anti-air.
Okay, so the next thing right here that Brian, you actually put this on the list, and I love this point, is playing with purpose. So you want to have an actual counter strategy. Your strategy could even be, or your purpose could be, to push your opponent to the corner. Well, the higher you go, it can get down to matchup knowledge and figuring out all these little details of every matchup. Just the fact that you have a conscious strategy, there's so many decisions to be made in Street Fighter in one round that when you have a conscious strategy or purpose, it streamlines those decisions, if that makes sense.
And even beyond that, I also think with this idea, it's not just with strategy, it's also with what you want to, actually I guess it's a strategy in itself, what you want to practice, right? So like play with a purpose. We mentioned anti-airs already as a technique. Like the play with a purpose is a process. The technique might be anti-air. If you want to play with a purpose to practice your anti-airs, go into ranked match and just think, my goal is to anti-air. Even if I lose this match, if I successfully force them into situations where they jump and I anti-air them, and I do that with a high success rate and land the anti-airs, that's a win. You have to gamify your wins even when you lose in order to apply the process of growing. Because you're not going to win every single time, but you might be learning every single time. So if you play without a purpose, win or lose, you might not learn anything. If you play with a purpose, you might win, you might lose, but you're guaranteed to learn something. You need to learn. that is the ultimate goal. Facts. So like go into a match saying, I will focus on anti-airs, and that means that during the match, you're talking to yourself, focusing on anti-airs, So yes, you might have less focus on other aspects of the game. You might eat more drive rushes. You might eat more DIs in the process. But hey, maybe your success rate for anti-airs goes up and you build some subconscious awareness when anti-air. Now, maybe next session you can go, I'm going to focus on checking drive rush, right? And then you focus a lot of attention on that. Maybe you're less successful at anti-airing in that moment. Maybe you're less successful at checking DI, but maybe you get a little bit more comfortable stopping drive rush approaches and converting that, right? And you add that experience to your repertoire. Next session, I'm going to focus on countering every single DI. I'm going to be in my head, DI. The moment this guy DIs, I'm going to smoke him, right? So every session that you go into, have something that you're actually actively working on and pay attention to that. So you're building these experiences as you go. So don't be focused on wins and losses. That is a really good way to be frustrated and to shortcut the process and to end up getting burned out really quick before you learn how to grow. Because that's the number one thing, is always learn how to learn, because then you can just keep going. Like that process will never end.
I would add that occasionally I will go in there, and I would recommend you guys do this thing as well. Occasionally go in there and consciously say, okay, I'm in tournament mode. It's ranked.
Absolutely.
But this session, I am trying my hardest as if it's a tournament, and I'm trying to win. I would have like a piece of paper and a tally. I would tally like my wins versus losses pretty much. I would keep my record. I put like a win tally and loss tally. What's nice about it is that maybe a week later or a few days later, when I go full out again, I'll be able to see over time if my record is improving. Now, of course, it's not foolproof, because you could be losing based off of maybe it's different character matchups today or something like that. But that naturally goes into the next thing that we want to talk about, actually, which is reviewing replays. So that is, Brian, one of the most important things you could do.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a cheat code, because I stream my matches, which is actually like super, super convenient, because I'll literally like remember interactions from my stream and I'll just hop on Twitch or YouTube real quick and I'll just watch it back. What could I have done better here, right? Or maybe even I landed this hit. It was a little weird and I did something good there, but could I have done better, right? There's so much inspiration I find just from thinking about my own matches, and I have a video, an easy format to go back and check it out. So you can also use the in-game replay viewer. I mean, the only downside of that is you have to be at your console or at your PC. So I recommend definitely recording or streaming your own footage just so you can watch it back personally, or using the replay viewer in the game to actually check your own replays. But don't just have interactions happen and go, oh, that happened, okay, moving on. Like, no, that's an opportunity to learn something. If you can learn something from any, like, I guarantee you every single match you play, there's something in there that you can learn from. Every single game you played, especially if you're a beginner. Absolutely, if you're a beginner.
Yo, checking out your replays, I think you should also like objectively look at yours. Try as much as you can, try to objectively look at yourself and say, okay, what was... Going back to bringing it full circle, what was my purpose right here? What am I thinking right here?
This advice or this process we're talking about applies not just to beginners or people just below mastering. It's everybody. Like this never ends. So I just want to be very clear about this. This is a forever process to continuously improve. So it applies in the beginning as well.
The last two things we can kind of bundle them up real quick. Ironing out your Oki situations and getting having matchup knowledge. So as far as the Oki thing, bruh, this is so important. This is... If you get a knockdown with your character, especially if it's a B&B common knockdown that you get from a combo or anti-air, whatever it may be, you need to know exactly what moves you can take next. As far as, can you dash? Can you dash once? Can you dash twice? Do you have to drive rush? And how plus are you after you do these things? And then based off of that, which buttons can you press on your opponent's wake up? for pressure. So when you land a hit, you need to be getting something off of it if it's possible. Otherwise, you're not pressing your advantage. So ironing out your Oki is
I agree. I should be able to pop quiz you and ask you, hey, after your sweep, what do you do?
Yes. Yep.
You know, I should be able to ask you that, right? Like, and that's something that comes with time. Like, even for me, there's still a few Oki situations I haven't ironed out, but there's a lot of things where I was like, here are my setups I have when I get these certain knockdowns. But then when you run into a player who constantly challenges on your wake up and is always pressing buttons or doing something, you need to be able to fall back on these airtight sequences to stop people from mindlessly mashing and disrespecting your pressure. If you don't have airtight pressure, people will disrespect it. You need to establish for a lot of players that you have airtight pressure, and only then, when you really, really think you've conditioned them to respect your pressure, then you can deviate from it. And for some players, you should never deviate from it. Some players will never, ever, 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 ever respect your pressure no matter how many times you meaty them, right? They will always do something on wake up. So also remember that. So you need to have those airtight setups ready, and that can let you flowchart actually through a lot of players. Like, once you have anti-airs, neutral, you get a knockdown, you know how to meaty them, there's a lot of players who will just crumble because they will never block on wake up. And you can iron out that flowchart and steamroll through players and get to master rank.
I want to make sure you guys know, man, this stuff that we just laid out for you guys right here is paramount, and I'm telling you, it's more important than when it comes to you trying to get a master rank. You don't need the whiff punish. You don't need to have the Socko combo. Shout out to Socko. And you don't need to have the biggest, most amazing lab monster setups in the world. These things right here is the most important things, and then after you have these, then naturally you can branch off into the other stuff. So if you're just trying to have fun and that's it, and you don't care if you win or lose, then hey, take whatever path you want. But if you want to get the master rank, if you want to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible, then you've just been informed on how to do so. Brian, I find it fascinating how we can go from teaching players how to make it into master rank, bruh, helping people out, to getting to the point of talking about players who have already mastered their craft. We started out with so many players here in Central America East, but we are down to only 8, the creme de la creme. But only one of these players are going to be able to represent their region at Capcom Cup, fighting for their share of that $2 million prize pool. Let's get into it. The action starts now. CPT, Central America East, top 8.
I present the Hunter from Komura.
This He was obsessed, you see, with finding an appropriate vessel for this power.
Fight with all your heart!
We are supporting Capcom Cup 10 with a total prize pool of over $2 million.
It's showtime, baby!
Guano takes it over Idol!
All right, you ready? You don't want to miss it! Let him go!
Look at the damage! Look at that damage!
Now's not the time for jokes.
Your two-time Capcom Cup champion!
It's Meta RD!
You already know what time it is. It is time for the Capcom Pro Tour's qualifier for the Central America East region. My name is Vicious, here with St. Cola to bring you all of the bangers that you would expect coming in from our top 16 all the way till today's top 8. And I do guarantee you this one's going to be a banger because there's some really heavy hitters going into this record. Now look at the top 8 overall. If you guys had done your homework, I posted it on Twitter earlier who's actually going to be representing from the winner's side. We have 2 players thus far that have not dropped a single game, St. Cola.
Single game. That's Kaba. And that is Ajax Fidelity. 2 absolute champions that have been doing work in Street Fighter 5 and 6 and out here with that same sword of sauce. We'll see if they make it to the bracket, though, because there's also some other champions I'm looking forward to seeing. Brian D, Jimmy DR, and many more in store. We've also dropped some people outside as we've gotten this top 8 spot. Unfortunately, Mono was not able to make it, and many other players not able to reach this top echelon, but that just shows the quality, the strength of this scene.
And just in case you might have missed it, right, we do have the bracket up for everybody, just for you guys to follow along into today's top 8. The top 16 was a pretty heavily stacked Dominican Republic representation, but for the most part, we still had some of the heaviest hitters that we could ask for, especially from the Puerto Rico region as well. We also had some representation from the Jamaica region a little bit earlier too, but taking a look, right, at the overall records, we saw a lot of 2-0s, really dominant games throughout the entirety of the quarterfinals.
That's right. We saw Kaba take down Mono with the quickness. Jochi out here taking out same Fox, but that was a 2-1 at least in the Ajax Fidelity, dominantly taking down Jimmy DR. After that, a dominant performance also on the side of Brian D against G. Roy.
Now let's flip it over to the losers side to kind of tell that story as well, right? This is the land of the Sharks, but a lot of these players, they got sent to losers by the folks that were representing the winner's side too. But looking at it, Clivis, we were talking about some of the Jamaican representation. He unfortunately went 0-2 against Taxto, showing off his Prime Ken. Then we saw the Puerto Ricans face off against each other, HDCM versus Solid Paha Hands. Paha Hands, actually, we've seen a little bit more than HD. HD, I'm pretty much new to, but overall, having to see that 2-0 performance, it was really, really fortunate to see. Louis Man versus Joker. Those are also 2 more representatives from Dominican Republic that Mena had talked about previously in his interview over at EVO. Then, of course, Edward Ting versus Balanzian. It was a very similar fashion. We saw a bunch of 2-0s, a bunch of 2-1s, but over in round 2, that's where it got kind of scary for some of these players, too, looking into it. Like, we had our favorite Mono PR going into it. We thought he was going to be the one that was moving into top 8, but surprisingly enough, you know, he fell just a little bit short. Edward Ting having the better momentum with his DJ going 2-1. But for the rest of it, too, who else did we have?
We had Louis Man taking down Same Fox with a 2-0. Even though the score was 2-0, it was a very close match as Louis Man was back in business. And, you know, I feel like some of these players, actually these 3 players I'm about to mention, really kind of shored up their defense, their offense, and looked a lot more solid. G-Roy taking down Taxto, looking a lot more solid on that JP. And then after that was Jimmy DR versus HD, taking him down 2-0 as well, pretty dominantly. And just the way that we expect them to play, right? A lot more, you know, nerves shaken off, a little bit more stable and solid to make that top 8 spot. That means for top 8, we're going to have G-Roy versus Jimmy DR, and then the rest coming through. As you see up on this bracket here, of course, we already mentioned Jimmy DR versus G-Roy, and then Edward Ting going up against Louis Man. It's going to be Sim versus DJ. And man, this is going to equal some great action all the way through. This is a nasty top 8.
It's kind of nuts, right? We talked about it right at the start. Kaba versus Hochi is going to be our first match in the winner's semifinals. Kaba has not dropped a single game. He has 2-0'd almost everybody that he faced off against. On top of that, when you're looking at the way he performed into the top 8, right, he faced off against Mono, one of the strongest that we could ask for this region specifically, and he 2-0'd him. But looking at this, right, Hochi representing his Ken, he's had a really, really shaky way into top 16. He went 2-1 almost throughout the entirety of it. However, he has taken down one of the prime Guiles. In fact, HDCM was that Guile, and he beat him down 2-1 and sent him over to losers bracket. So we've seen what Hochi can actually do in terms of the Guile matchup. It's up to Kaba to establish his dominance against another Ken and make him another statistic. But we'll see if that even happens. I think Hochi will be able to step up to the plate with the character that he has, and especially the caliber of play that he's represented thus far. Then we move on to Ajax Fidelity, another heavy hitter for the bracket, completely undefeated. And what's crazy about Ajax, on top of not dropping a single game, he beat Louis Man 2-0. He beat Jimmy DR. Both of those cats still being represented in our top 8.
Kind of crazy, kind of wild. And we also saw him take that World Warrior tournament, the very first one, taking it at the top spot and getting the most amount of points that he can. Ajax Fidelity's always been strong, especially in the end of Street Fighter V. We saw him do a lot of work out in Street Fighter League. We saw him do work out at First Attack, and dang near anywhere he goes. Seeing that same sort of energy in the beginning of Street Fighter 6.
And Brian D also no slouch, right? He's also represented in the World Warrior, currently at 5th place, getting some points for himself. But looking at his current record, when Brian D was stepping up to the plate, man, we didn't know what to expect because he listed 3 different characters. So that's going to be the biggest problem, I think, for Ajax Fidelity, is trying to figure out which character he has to face off against Brian. So Brian, in his run in top 16, he represented the Ken, if I'm not... No, sorry. He represented the Ken, if I'm not mistaken, right? Against G-Roy's JP, right? So he does also have a Guile. He does have a Luke.
Yes.
We'll see which card comes into play, especially for the jury matchup. So that's going to be the biggest concern. Then, of course, we saw the losers bracket. We saw Louis Man versus Edwardson. That's going to be a face-off for just a little bit of time, right? We're going to talk about that in thorough detail. Then, of course, Jimmy DR and G-Roy. There's so much on the line on top of just the pride, right? We also have the intense prize pool for Capcom Cup, but also for the Capcom Pro Tour, every single qualifier, right? $5K is on the line with the lion's share going to first, $2,500 in their pocket, $1,200 going to second, $800 for third, and $500 to fourth. Not bad for playing for free at the comfort of your own home or wherever you may be playing. It's actually pretty dang sick that we've come this far as well. And it's all for a great cause, right? We're going to see who will be making it into Capcom Cup 10 as the main qualifier.
Yes. Yo, this is great, but look at what's even better. $1 million for first place if you slog through the streets of Street Fighter 6's first CPT tournament run, I should say. And total prize pool is over $2 million. That is right, over $2 million. But first place, $1 million. You know, we talked about this, what people would do with their $1 million. You know, we've seen some of these cats talk about on Twitter, oh, I would do this and that. I give it back to my scene. I buy this and that. But it's a lot of money to play for. A lot of cats are strong. We've talked about also these scenes, you know, just being stronger and stronger, getting more representation. It's hard to call who's going to take it in each of these scenes. Just recently, we just saw Tokido take it in Japan. But before that, it was some other players that maybe people didn't expect. Yamaguchi out there. Sure. Yeah, NL taking his tournament too as well for SCPT run. Dookie taking his area. But it's always hard to call every time we see these brackets. Even this one right here for the favorite mono not being in is a wild thing to really think about.
Yeah, there's so many different World Warriors going on at the same time as well. Like, I think we have, Spain happening right now, right?
And Spain, I think Germany too as well.
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot, yeah. If you guys want to check it out for yourself, CapcomProTour.com is where you need to go. But you guys are tuning in to the big qualifier again for Central America East. Let's set up the first match of the day from the winner's side. Kaba versus Hochi. This one's kind of interesting, right? Guile versus Ken. Now, outside of, I guess, weekly majors. I'm going to call them majors now, right? Last time I called it a local, I'm like, you know, technically it's what it is, but it's gone so big throughout every single week and every, you know, everybody's been really tuning into it. So, like, every weekly major that we have, I feel like we see this type of matchup. But I will say, if we talk about it on paper, I think there's a lot that Ken, I want to say, let me reverse that. There's a lot that Guile can do to kind of stop Ken dead in his tracks.
That's true. I mean, even as a Ken player myself, struggling to fight this character and trying to find answers, it's the fireball play that stops him continuously. You have to use like OD fireball. You have to be able to walk in and parry, and it almost feels like you have to play picture perfect. Once you get in, you get your win. You can get nasty as Ken usually does, but then you have to worry about also Guile's neutral and with his long range normals. Back fist, back heavy punch are really great buttons. His crouching medium kick too as well. He just has really good ways to play against, you know, Ken's neutral, against like crouching medium kick. He'll do upside down kick. Like overall, he has a lot of good tools.
He has the kit to stop Shotos, yeah.
Yeah, overall, yeah, that's actually a really good point. Not just Ken, but all Shotos. So I'm curious to see what Hochi will do to present something different to Kaba. We've seen Kaba take down the likes of, and fight as well, you know, Chris Tartarian and many other Kens that are in the U.S. and Tampa Never Sleeps, and Costa. It doesn't matter where it be. You get a lot of that practice already, so have to present a different look.
That's going to be the biggest challenge, I feel like, for Hochi. But Hochi's been the one to kind of step up to the plate, right? He's here for a very specific reason, but it's up to Kaba to see if he could treat Hochi like another statistic. That's going to be the biggest contention point, is if Hochi has what it takes to throw Kaba off of his game. In fact, we do have a quote coming in from Kaba as we get ourselves started into it. Good luck, Hochi. Focus. That's what I'm talking about. See, like they've talked about like the brotherhood of the Dominican Republic. Like Men RD, like when they see each other as rivals, it's also like in the same sentence as being like best friends and brothers, right? They still try to make sure that whatever they do in the game, they uplift each other in the process, right? To bring each other up, because if you make yourselves the strongest region, then it's just only going to benefit like everybody else in such a positive light. Like you're not going to be, I guess, like outcasting somebody because they're better than you, or just like kind of neglecting other players because they're not as strong as you. Like
it takes a village.
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? You want to make sure that your weakest link is as strong as like a Capcom Pro Tour champion, right?
Exactly.
So that's one of the beautiful things about this region. I feel like they're so dangerously good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so entertaining to watch because they're that damn dangerous. So we'll see. Man, wait a minute. Kabba's a diamond player? You gotta be kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah. Not a man of rank, but definitely a man of Battle Lounge. Let's see what happens in this throwdown.
He's a master of masters, right? So don't get it twisted, right? I just love some of the newer players that kind of like get into this game. They're like, wait, Kabba's a diamond player? Like,
no.
I love that conversation because, sometimes you won't get the full story, but you're about to get it right now. Kabba already keeping Hochi on lockdown.
Yeah, this corner pressure real bad. Needing a sonic boom and finding the fault because it was the perfect boom, and that was perfection when it came to corner pressure. Kabba, the first win, obviously very dominant with this character, and knows the Ken matchup. Yeah, you have to go for parry to try to walk in. You want to keep as much bar as possible so you can exercise OD fireball at any point, but Kabba getting aggressive with it.
And that was so far. That knee bullet coming in after the drive rush, I can't even tell if that's going to be enough to like stop people from pressing buttons, but most people are kind of risk averse about it. We're going to get the side switch off of the Dragon Lash. It's up to Hochi to pursue after this uppercut.
Yeah, no way to parry now. Gotta do that. Yeah, the jump fins are the way to play against the fireballs. Nice to be with the crouching light punch. Into it with the DP. Because Rowdy wakes up with crouching light punch. It's the flash kick.
Yeah, Hochi mistimed his melee. Like he was going for the standing medium kick frame kill and still got punished kind of for it. And that's really unfortunate too. Hochi with full bar. Same with Kabba too. I think it's going to be a single touch from either side that takes it. And Hochi trying to do like a very, very far drive impact to kind of bait out maybe like a sonic boom, a preemptive one. And there's the reaction, Kabba. He saw it the first time, and Hochi was still adamant about it. He's like, you know what? I didn't get my chance to maybe stuff out a sonic boom or like a preemptive one from Kabba. Let me see if I could sneak in another one. And I totally get it. Like if it doesn't work the first time, it's totally understandable to even try to attempt it. But Kabba, he was very much so keen to that idea.
Also close to the wall, so I definitely understand the idea to get that pin and try to get the win. But right now, first game to Kabba.
Punish counter?
Woo!
Yes, sir. That wasn't a roundhouse Dragon Lash, I assume.
It's the right one, but you want to do like maybe one that's a little bit quicker to catch when you throw techs or things like that. Unfortunate. Hochi with no bar to utilize. I feel like more OD fireball might work out, but it doesn't even matter. Kabba initiates with a drive rush crouching unit kick immediately. There we go. Drive rush in. Drop though.
Yeah, he can't be sitting down. Hochi tried to get the upper hand by maybe going for a side switch, right? There was an attempt at a jump, but Kabba's roundhouse put them mid-air. I wonder what the idea was from Hochi being that close. Maybe he didn't want to be susceptible to a fireball. Maybe he was predicting the sonic boom. Another drop from Hochi, man. He's getting some of these big hits off of OD fireball and then not completing it. I don't know.
That's the game plan, but you have to have something behind it. Nice impact against the crouching mini kick. Enhanced Tatsu. Oh, the nasty combo with the DP ender. Don't get much Oki off of that, but still a lot of damage.
Anything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll get the damage, you get a weird side switch, but yeah, the Oki is a little bit awkward. Not as advantageous as some other situations. Like if you were to just get like a normal situation of like enhanced run Tatsu, then that would have been just fine. But this level 3 is going to be pretty significant. Kabba's going to establish this dominance from here on out. The life lead is there. Also the drive gauge. This is the exact range he gets to throw out the booms and bully Hochi to death.
Yeah, there's that OD sonic boom. A lot of bar to utilize right now. Hochi running out of time, life, and health right there. Kabba on game point. Very dominant, but third drops here from the side of Hochi. When you get that ability to get in with the OD fireball, you have to take advantage when you're given these opportunities. And I also feel like, that was a cool combo with the Tatsu, but go for that enhanced Tatsu, get the knockdown, and get that hella Oki. That's his best Oki position right there, off enhanced Tatsu. So go for that so you can continue that pressure and at least put Kabba on the back foot for like a little bit.
I agree. Just putting him in the corner just to kind of give him a different look, like force him to really play defense. I think it's fine. I think also some of the offensive looks that Hochi has once he has Oki, needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Like one of the biggest drops we saw was obviously the standing medium kick frame kill. He did it a little bit too late and got punish counter for it. So that is something I wish would be cleaned up just a little bit. Hochi has the right ideas. He has some of these openings, but he's letting it fall too short. Like he's not confident right now. It's not looking like the confident Hochi that we're used to, right? There's been so much more potential in the way that he plays. He understands what's going on. It's just a matter of certain drops. He's had back-to-back drops. Even when he had combos off of like OD Fireball, he had dropped his drive rush forward.
Yeah. Kaba will not let that go.
Not at all.
He's a demon. Game point for him. OD Fireball, no drive rush forward. He's trying to press the issue a little bit. You have to watch out for your gauge if you're OG. Okay, he's in burn up, but this isn't bad. You have him in the corner.
Yes,
Baits out the flash kick. We wait and bait. Time to decimate. Give me that help. The DP ender.
We're going to get the light pressure. No, he's still going to get the throw bait. That's excellent. Oh, boy. Hochi. There we go. That's the round starter. That is the optimal Ken starter that we needed to get the engine going. Let's see if he runs with it. Or if Kaba will start to pressure with a little bit more booms. But we saw the normal, right? We saw the Silverbot kick come out. Hochi now starting to find that focus that Kaba was looking for. Yes, let the character drop to their knees, get this full juggle and the damage. Watch out for the throw. No, it's a meaty, fierce to the chin first. But Kaba ready with the block.
Looking for the drive impact against some of these buttons. Hochi waiting for the bar to recover. At this point, can't do too much. You take that chip. There's the empty low, though. 3-piece. Nice anti-air with the stand medium
Beautiful.
kick.
That's artwork right there. Seeing standing medium kick as an anti-air from Guile, very uncommon. But man, that's how you know that's a true Guile player. You know, ready for all instances, all ranges as well. And you see Kaba starting to pepper in some of the fierces that you were talking about. The big Shoto stopper. That back fierce could be so detrimental. So could the crouching heavy punch if you don't have that charge.
Wild thing is Kaba can end this round without any bar at the bottom, and that's an unfortunate drop, and this means Kaba is on set point. He really set up that Tatsu. We dialed it in, but that's unfortunate as Kaba hits with 3 bars and already finds an overhead to start the party. Kaba, the Sonic Steppers, immediately gets that level 3 lead in health. Closer and closer to the corner. Drive rush it for the Bazooka Knee, too far out though. Oh, what a stopping point right there with the flash kick. And again. Give it to me again. One more.
3 booms, ready for the OD one. He was waiting. No anti-air. Hochi finds a way in. The punish counter is there, but you know, this is a very interesting predicament. There's going to be a lot of damage. It is a critical art's worth of damage. The burnout's going to be there, but it's going to be enough to force Kaba to mess up on defense, right? Hochi, he gets all of the tricks in the world too off of Jinrai. You see Kaba starting to stand up, right? He thought the overhead was coming.
Sit him down.
One.
Impact to take the round.
No way.
Hochi's back in. Should have never told me to focus up. I'm gonna sit you down.
And that's the beginning of the bag of tricks that Ken really has, right? Off of the Jinrai kicks, you can go for like the low or the overhead at the moment's notice. It's very difficult to contend against, especially when you're in burnout. You don't have a flash kick to save you.
Yeah, when you're in that mixed situation, it's harder to deal with Guile. Like, when he's full screen, he's chilling. He's vibing like he would if he's out of burnout. But when he's up in the corner against Ken, it's about to be the end. Nice. Looking for that. So Bato maybe to open him up a little bit as a poke tool. Seeing different looks here from the side of Kaba. Also the upside down kick, maybe to clip the crushing knee kick, but there's a jump in here. That corner set situation. No, the drop, but still picks it up.
Oh, man.
Another one.
I was going to say, if that is like a next level frame kill just to like get the meaty situation, that would have been kind of genius. What was that?
It could have been a lot more.
The damage on the table is left, and there's the drive impact. Hochi not making it count where he needs to, but Kaba, he definitely will. Excuse me. Look at that match point again.
Man, oh man, you cannot let these moments go. When given to you.
Oh, no punish on the Soulbot. Barely whipping right in front of him, just not ready for it.
Yeah, so many different looks. Maybe like the OD Fireball, making him a little bit more afraid. So many different things for the mental stack to worry about. Oh, you gotta be careful. That bar, that drive gauge is getting whittled down. That's less chance the OD Fireball tries to find a jump in.
Oh, the buffers, man. The big buffers coming in from Hochi. Kaba doing a smart job, though, of micro walking forward and forcing some of these big airs against Hochi. So that's something to keep in mind. We're going to get a Sonic Boom, maybe 2 times over. The Sonic Blade to stuff out the other 2 booms, and that's a punish. This is genius from Kaba. He's not going to have enough in the tank to finish it, but I love the target combo to set himself apart from Ken to establish maybe a Sonic Boom game, or at least get himself at least in a decent amount of time to get some of this drive gauge back.
Yeah, it's very smart. We saw what happens when you're caught up in the corner. Even you see him try to jab out to not be hit with that impact. That should be a wrap. He's going to go for level 3, or CI, I should say. Yeah, see you next round.
That's going to be more than enough damage, right? Hochi keeping it alive. Then shut up. That's another round from the side of Hochi. Still tied up. Another chance at life. If he takes this, we're going to see a 2-2. If Kaba, however, has something else to say, you got to say it now.
Yeah, you definitely want to stop his momentum with a jump in, with a jump fierce, ready against the boom pattern. And that read leads him to the corner where Ken can really work. We've already seen the Chin-wise fly.
Yeah.
Flash, kick, crouch, kick.
That wasn't even a combo, by the way.
Oh, it wasn't. You're right.
That was 2 hits. That should have been 3.
I just thought it was going to come out, I guess. Hochi in the lead, but not in terms of drive gauge. Has to back off, let that build up a little bit. Maybe has to go for a parry, but gets hit with the back fist.
Man. Hochi's a little bit rough. But he still gets the drive impact. I couldn't even tell who was the victor of that one. I thought it was going to be a clash. I genuinely thought it might have been a clash.
On the same frame. But what an even match. I honestly thought coming into this that Kaba would take it because of the fact that he knows this matchup so well, but we've seen him in Burnout a little bit too often. We've seen Hochi, when he is able to take it, take him to the corner and exercise what Ken does the best and put this man to rest. We're 2-2 right now. This could be a big blow up right here. Kaba possibly going down to losers. Let me not prophesize no demise. Let me just back up a little bit. But it's looking a lot more even than what we saw at the very beginning.
He's making some really good reads too. He's pretty confident about some of his jump-ins, and it's caught Kaba off guard like a couple of times over. I feel like as soon as Ken does get that jump in and leads you to the corner, it's so much harder to get that momentum back because it just takes one enhanced Tatsu to bring you to the corner. It's like, man, I have to guess for a game like 3 more times.
Dang.
That's hard.
Feels bad. Yeah, now you see more of those anti-airs right there with the crouch fear. Stampede kick as we saw previously too as well. That means he's going to have to space himself out a little bit more continuously and maybe shuffle around a little bit more.
A lot more medium kicks coming out from the side of Kaba too. We saw a bunch of Sobots a little bit earlier. And all those medium kicks, putting Hochi at this much life already. We did get the punish counter off of the low medium kick into flash kick. So Kaba, he tried to sneak out another medium, but now it's Hochi peppering in some of the lights, catching the timing against Kaba with the counter hits as well. Sonic Boom's going to keep him at bay.
Oh, stand heavy kick. This is bad. Well, the Barons of Burnout. Gaia. OD to seal the deal. Now you see Kaba utilizing a lot more of that drive gauge to initiate things. We saw the Sonic Cross initiate with the Sonic Boom. And now he gets his own jump. He's like, I can do that too. Up in the corner. Sonic Boom pressure again. Hochi's got to find a way in. He just dashes in with the crouch and kick starter. No, yeah, I saw that coming a mile away.
He was absolutely ready for it. Kaba just maintaining that charge. There's nothing he can't do. Just reacts to it. Oh, speaking of reactions, look at the punish counter with the forward fierce. That's a very heavy starting normal. It's a good amount of startup on that bad boy.
About to the end here. Finds the anti-air. You almost get blocked right here. There's going to be a burnout. You about that drop. The parade of boom. The buffet of booms coming through from Kaba. One more hit will seal it. Trying to bait out a reaction. Do it, jump it. I dare you. I dare you. Oh, there you go.
He tried it, and Kaba taking it down 3-2. Hochi just wanted to make it close. Right?
Yeah.
They wanted to make sure that he was the one to make Kaba bleed and look human, but it is indeed going to be the man from Bandits taking it down 3-2. I gotta say though, man, it's a tough call. Hochi trying to make those reads again against the Sonic Boom, but getting faked out with the crouch jab. Everybody gets that at least once, right?
Of course. And Kyle kind of set himself up for success. We saw him put him in burnout continuously, make him waste that bar continuously. And when he was starting to initiate the party off with like OD Sonic Cross to kind of find these follow-ups and find these conversions and things like that, this is where he was starting to live a lot better. When he let Hochi start off, it was to the corner. It was guessing a little bit too often, like he didn't want to. I feel like that's where Hochi was living a lot more. But there's some issues on Hochi's side. I feel like conversions, even though they got better and better,
no doubt.
A lot of drops that could have led to maybe faster victory, possibly. But I still think that it might have gone in Kaba's way either way, because once he started initiating things off the rip and find those anti-airs that you pointed out, things looked a lot better for him.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It could have still gone either way. Kaba still maintaining that checkmate scenario with the baby booms and forcing a lot of that damage. That could have happened like plenty more times over, but it was Hochi who kind of withstood that up until this part. So it's hard to keep that type of situation at bay. Like when you talk about the law of numbers, the longer the set goes on, eventually that setup's gonna happen. And Kaba, he's definitely one to put a lot of people in that scenario and know exactly what to do about it, and also like force the errors from Hochi. But again, still a good call and still a good look from Hochi, being able to make some of those big reads against Kaba, make him bleed again. We talked about Kaba being undefeated up until this point. Well, he's got 2 games against the young man. So either way, we still get to see Hochi down below, loses round 2, where he awaits his fate between Jimmy DR as well as G-Roy. But that's going to be the first one into winners finals is Kaba, as we move on into the next match with another undefeated player against one of the strongest hitters that we could ask for in the Dominican Republic. I want to say he's part of the elites, man.
Yeah.
Mena has been talking about Brian D for quite a long time. Brian D has actually been the guy that you would see at all of the top 8 graphics for some of these weeklies.
Yep.
He's the guy that has been gatekeeping a lot of these other players with this guile and establishing dominance. If he's not getting first place, he's still within top 3.
100%. I mean, early days of Street Fighter 6, it was dang near him in top 3, first place, and things like that. Still doing a lot of work, but cannot discount Ajax Fidelity. Winning the first World Warrior tournament for his region, fantastic. Already an absolute demon out in Street Fighter League. We saw that, and now acclimating well to this jury pick. There's no 1, 2, 3 for him, but he's A-okay with the jury at play. We'll see how things break down. I'm curious to see, Brian D with a lot of practice in terms of, fighting the jury players that we have out here. Obviously, Jack and things like that. All the other jury players that we have in the States.
I'm sure they played off against each other as well.
Oh,
in World
yeah.
Warrior.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
no
actually
doubt,
right. Yeah.
Ajax getting first, Brian D in 5th place. I'm almost positive they had to face off against each other on the way through, but we'll double check that stat in the meantime. But yeah, there's no shot that neither of these players have played off against this matchup.
Oh,
or like
100%.
have not played off against this matchup, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, Ajax Fidelity, I remember him practicing and talking with Kaba before Street Fighter 6 release, and then after, too, as well. So I gotta say they probably have, Ajax has an understanding of that matchup. But Brian D is somewhat different than Kaba. We've seen him work in the TNS brackets. It's a different sort of flavor of Gao. I feel like with him, he's a little bit more on the risky side, which is kind of wild to say when you talk about Kaba, because he's kind of puts a little risk in it. Brian D is a young, but I feel like Brian D is a little bit more than young guns, bro. They have the tendency to bust out a little bit more and a little more confident.
Yeah,
and I think
fine.
that's fine in this game. I think you should be doing that.
Let me see some volatility. To be fair, I think you kind of see
back.
that with Ajax Fidelity. You kind of saw that with the way he played Ed as well. He kind of took advantage of the people who weren't familiar with the matchups and just ran with it. But either way, we're going to see that kind of volatility between these two players. Starting things off, though, with Brian D and his quote into top 8. I know yesterday we saw Ajax, but it's going to be Brian D who says, "Those who carry on the will of those who have passed must keep moving forward." That's deep, bro. That's too deep for a man of your age. And I gotta say, man, that is real wise words, Brian. I appreciate that. I appreciate that big time.
Relax, bro. You are 20. But I do like that. I do like that energy of I'm moving on the bracket. Even though you see the homies that are in the loser side or have not maybe made it through, this is his path. He's like, this is my path. I'm trying to make it a victory for the rest that didn't make it up here.
Yeah. I think about it in Hajime no Ippo, it's like, all the cats that lost to Ippo, he's like, man, my competitive spirit is now with you, bro. You got to carry it on. If you take down all the folks into like top 16, going into top 8, and you manage to fall short, it does feel bad for everybody.
Yeah, they're riding on you.
Yeah, they are riding. Their spirit's riding with you now. Same thing we said with Ajax, man. Ajax has taken a lot of souls on the way over, right? 2 O's on the way through. Brian taking a page out of Ajax's book, right? Drive, rush forward into the overhead. But to be fair, I think Brian D was doing that a little bit earlier than Ajax was.
That's true. Definitely established that. There's a little bit different with it. Crouching mini kick, you're worried about throw, just like that too as well. Caught the parry situation. Gao does get some different sauce off of that. Ajax Fidelity on the back foot right now. This is how the matchup typically goes. I mean, Gao established that boom game plan, long range normals, and the fireballs. Hard for her to get
so
through.
Man, Brian different, yo. Brian D. Except for dominance, son. Ooh. That was actually mad sick. Really well played first round.
Brian devious right now with this character. So the Sonic Boom drive rushes forward. Nice forward medium kick to catch him coming in. Gotta see something different here. Ajax Fidelity not able to establish that drive rush overhead, medium. They like to, with the Sonic Boom stopping him from coming through.
Stop that drive rush, son. You did not get a pass from me. You did not get clearance for flight. You cannot take off horizontally, man. This jump in is everything too. You get the side switch, you get to establish the boom, you get to establish a level 2 solid puncher incoming. Look at the amount of damage on the drive gauge, so important. Brian gets the counter hit over the Sobot again, man. A lot of mileage for some of these Guile players utilizing that Sobot over lows.
It's wild. It's like he's locking him down so he can go for these jump ins and bait out reaction. This should be the end. Oh no, not just yet though. But Brian D, the forward medium kick to seal the deal. I wonder if you can't use the crouching medium kick in this matchup because of the upside down kick in Sobato in some of these ranges. That's already been stuffing and stopping some of the drive rush.
He's so good.
Also, man, he is on point
That's
with
Brian. Damn, dude. It ain't Brian D, bro. That's Brian. Damn. Nah, that's Brian Dominican. He's he's representing. That's definitely Brian Dominican. He's barking at him right now. He's like, yeah, what you going to do about it? Forward throw, set him down. Let me see that Sonic Boom. There you go. Ajax, there we go. Gets an opening finally. Ajax calling him out as well. I want to see what you're about, young man. Are we going to set up again? Forward throw, punish counter. Brian, press someone. Wake up. Again and again.
Give it meaty. There we go. There's that corner pressure. We know Ajax Fidelity 4 is able to seal the deal right on momentum. Brian got to be careful. These boom pressures coming through. I see they're getting snipped out. There's a drive rush throw. Locking it down with the fireball first. And now getting another throw. Wakes up with buttons, gets a flash kick, gets some distance with it, overhead blocked out.
Good block, too. That was manual.
Yeah.
He did flex a little bit of the crouch and then immediately went back to standing. Very smart, really clever. We're going to see the feng shui.
Perfect parry in the gap. Gets a distance with a reset. Yeah.
Man.
Take the page out of his book, bro.
He didn't go for the level 3. He wants to save the meter.
Okay.
And that's totally fine, right? I think that's fine in comparison to like what he has left. Ajax no longer in feng shui. The drive gauge close to burnout. The life lead tremendous for Brian. He's gonna be big chilling.
Absolutely. A little delay on that crouching meaty kick. Drake Fang overhead. You're dead. Stand meaty kick to steal the deal. You're absolutely right. Now look at the bar at the bottom. Level 3 is on the side. Could use that to build up a nice little lead or finish it.
Ugh. I've never seen target combo utilized as much as Brian's been using, like since the game came out. Like this is the most I've seen Guile utilize this target combo, and I love it too. It's so good. Now he's starting to pepper in the low medium kicks to stop Ajax from even moving forward. He's got the right tools. Ooh. You already know. After that, he's got plenty of time to DI right back. Are you going to spend the level 3? You have to. Brian, damage incoming.
This is the power of Guile in this game. He gets the lead, he keeps the lead, keep in a bad position. Look at that drive gauge. Look at that health. Nothing's there. Perfect parry. How you going to get in?
That's so difficult, too. Again, utilizing a lot of that. That's a perfect Brian D. The domination from the Dominican. He is doing damn good work right now.
Demonic right now. On game point against the Cat. They didn't drop a single game. The one that was favorited. The one that won World Warrior. But this is a different demonic time here for Brian D. Will he get his victory? Ajax got to figure out a way to stuff and stop these fireballs. Flash kick recovered in time to stay fine and get the flash kick. Put him back in that distance where it's hard for Jory to even fight. Oh no, a burnout.
Yeah, that's tough too. The jump is there, but no, that was a cross-up. He went for the throw. He wasn't confident in the hit. So he confirms lockdown just at the edge. You don't even need your super. Just spend the rest of this gauge. Get the links. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh no. Poetry in motion, a little bit short though.
Someone had to do it. Nice. Delay the flash kick to get the hit. Brian D might be making a nasty upset right here. But it's hard to call an upset considering how much damage he has done throughout these tournaments. We wait, we bait, we decimate. I like that from Ajax. Put a little stagger step right there. And there's the overhead reset we talked about previously.
Kind of tough now for Ajax still. Despite getting this very, very strong start in this particular round, he needs to close it if he wants to see another shot at life. But Brian D, he's starting to come back from it. He has critical art. It could be a little bit worse for Ajax now that this state is currently in position, right? Jury in the corner. Burnout's going to be happening soon. The perfect parry as well. Look at how much meter. Yeah, so this is going to be really important. The damage is going to be there, almost near tied, and Ajax is going to be in burnout.
This is
You
real
set
bad.
up Sonic Booms.
Long distance relationship. He actually goes in.
Oh.
Yo, these cats, I'm telling you, these young guns. But Ajax lives in that same jungle, bro. He knows.
He's the one who paved the way earlier, right? For some of these young guns. He's like, you know, I'm 23. You got to respect your elders, man. I've been here first.
The elders.
I cleared out some of the trees with my machete, bro.
Yeah.
I did that on Street Fighter League.
Oh. Reverse throw, for medium punch, of course, extra range on that. But Brian D finds some punish counters, drive rushes in for the back throw, positional advantage. Oh, this is real bad. Crouching medium kick, flash kick. Look at that. Wait for the flip out with the stand medium punch. Very smart stuff here. He's in burnout, but definitely not out of options. Could hit that level 2 if he builds it up, get that activation.
What is the feng shui? What's the defense going to be like? The overhead. Oh, yeah, that was actually pretty good for Brian. He actually went for the jump, and it set him down instead of just being susceptible to a full combo. But you have one more mix-up to guess.
Off
and
the
it's
low.
Oh, and it's Ajax hanging on after the feng shui activation. 2-1.
Burnout, plus the fact that we see Ajax finally utilizing that level 2, definitely saved him for a little bit longer. We'll see that more often. That's one thing I saw from them in World Warriors, utilizing that level 2 to really cut through the path and get some damage on the deck of his character.
He tried it once during one of the rounds, but Brian D cut it short.
Yeah. I don't want to see all that. Custom combos out here. Straight feint, takes back the turn, stand fierce.
man, there's a lot of hustle in some of these normals too. You're expecting maybe like a side switch throw, but Ajax with the intention in mind to stay blocking, he's willing to take that throw as well. So that was really, really sick to make that read against Brian. Brian's also kind of running short in terms of trying to get some of these big openings off of the target combo. This is kind of tough. Ajax might have the download.
Ooh, caught him low. Backs up, goes for the punish counter jab. I like that. DP may not have reach, but all this damage will be able to deal the level 1.
Can you tell me how that combo started again? How did that combo start again?
That punish counter light punch.
Oh, it was a punish counter light punch. That was kind of disgusting.
Again, not going for that cross-up DP that might not have worked was really fantastic.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a smart decision too. Yeah, Ajax knowing he's fully aware of what his conditions are, what his win conditions are, and what range of life that the opponent has. So that's really smart to make that cognitive decision to not go for the uppercut.
Absolutely. I like this. Walk in after the Dragon Fang, after it's over. Maybe not being able to punish, but you can at least get like that walk and throw. They go for like a parry right after. Drive rush. Commit to the anti, but that's okay. Still get the back throw. Still get the positional advantage. This is fantastic. Off the low. Find that overhead, but there's the throw right after.
Again. Oh. Looking for the throw bait instead. It's still another situation. Yo, he's going to be throwing Brian. Oh, no. He 100% pressed the button. Yo, is he actually dead, though? Oh, my God. I would be surprised if it actually killed Brian. No,
yeah,
you can't.
Do that.
Oh,
desperation.
No.
I feel it. I get it. But in burnout, again, Brian B looking for these options to put him in burnout and seal the deal with the quickness. He's on set point. But Agent Fatality's turn up my volume with the quickness that level 2's definitely helping out. He's got to be able to get in.
We'll see if that opening happens, right? If he'll do it off of a block, but no. The punish counter, no, he wasn't grounded. And I kind of get that, too, if it's an air parry or like a parrying an airborne normal. There's the feng shui activation. Now you get to set up Brian D for a couple of mixes at least 2 times over.
Yeah. Or you have him up in the corner, have to take him there. Yeah, wake up, super you block. You actually parry to keep the bar so you can extend your conversions to your combos so you don't have to waste that all. Oh, yeah, you about to make a fall. One more conversion or just a throw will seal the deal. This is Ajax Fidelity back in the driver's seat. It's that level 2. It's that level 2 equalizing things, and his reads on the boom pressure are fantastic too as well. Maybe not always finding jump ins in full, but he's close enough to start the throw game.
This is danger time for both players at the moment, right? Ajax riding with full momentum. Brian D not getting the same type of looks that he was getting away with earlier, right? I think there's a lot of space that he was occupying with some of those normals. Now the sonic booms are getting kind of red. And even if he does happen to perfect parry, like a jump in approach, it doesn't lead to as much as he wants to because you're not going to get like a full-on punish with a standing medium punch. I don't know if it's going to be enough time to like maybe do like a crouching normal, like a 4-framer as a punish counter or not. But either way you spin it, like that's not going to lead to as much as he would want to, especially after a perfect parry. Like I think there's a lot right now that Ajax is throwing towards Brian that's kind of like throwing him for a loop. And I don't mean it like in the pun of actually throwing the heck out of him, but I just think overall there's a lot that Brian D's not getting away with as he was used to, right? The Dragon Fang you were talking about, that target combo is punishable.
It is.
And we're starting to see that look a little bit more, also getting punished a little bit more consistently from Ajax. So I do like that adaptation. Let's see if Brian D has what it takes to kind of readjust the way he's trying to play and enforce it against Ajax.
I wonder if the changeup also on Brian's side might be like crouch fierce a little bit more because some of these angles are crouch fierceable, it feels like, to anti-air instead of just, maybe waiting for flash kick or going for parry. Crouch fierce may be the way to play to stop that entryway of the jump in. Like, stop that from coming through because once he gets close, it's that strike throw. You don't have to worry about drive rushing in because that's been stuffed and stopped. If you deny the aerial approach, that's going to help out so much for Gao in this matchup just in general.
I agree. I think that looks is going to be probably reassessed, obviously, but I think at the same time, Ajax have done a great job of also reacting to some of the sonic booms, right? If you're trying to keep him grounded, Ajax will at least walk into the space where you're tempted to do 2 things, right? Either sonic boom or try to throw out like a Sobot kick. But Jerry's walk speed is going to be decent enough to kind of like get around those situations. I think her walk speed is just about like the same as everybody else's, but it's fast enough to at least get around what Sobot kicks are going to be thrown out. Any medium kicks are going to be thrown out.
Right.
So we'll see, man. I think Ajax does have the right ideas to just stay within the mid-range and react accordingly to either a normal or a fireball. So that's going to be the biggest challenge, I feel like, for Brian D is trying to keep Ajax sitting still on top of trying to face off against Feng Shui Engine. But that's like, that's a call-out that's going to be very difficult for a lot of players. Like, what to do against Feng Shui Engine once it's activated, you have to guess so many times over. And that's just the nature of the game, baby. That's just how it goes.
Also, what's even more beneficial for Ajax. He puts him in the corner and then is able to activate level 2, so that means even more extensions, even more combos, even more damage that maybe wasn't there you'd have to use for the corner carry in the first place. That's not a problem anymore. So I'm wondering what Brian D will do. I wonder also what Ajax will do to also solidify his win if he moves on. Again, they play each other so much that they have to provide different looks up in these tournament, series and things like that. So I like that variance, though. This is definitely not just, I played this person for the first time. It's like steps ahead when it comes to fighting each other out here. And that just makes the action even better.
I want to see the D stand for dangerous. I want to see Brian give it all he's got, at least in this matchup, right? I mean, of course he's been doing so, but I want to see him get kind of nutty as well. I want to see some looks that are like completely off the table in regards to what we were talking about and possibly adapting back towards Ajax. I want to see something nutty, but at the same time, it's like I could respect the way that Ajax has been like forcing Brian D to find some of these counterplays as well. Hence why we're taking a little bit longer than usual to kind of go through it. But looking at it right now, Brian D, again, one of the #1 prospects for Dominican Republic, on top of like having a Menard D and Cabo. In terms of like, up-and-comers are like next in line, next generation, I think Brian D is definitely of that caliber. He also has other characters to play, right?
True.
He's mentioned that he has a Ken and a Luke for any sort of matchups that he wants. But I think what he's more known for, obviously, is that Guile, right? Week in, week out, it's always been Guile.
Yeah, it's the character you see up on the graphics. In fact, I remember a graphic being put up and people were like, is this the meta? And it's just like a bunch of Guiles. And he's one of them that's been out there in those top spots. But he's a grinder. We see him in a lot of tournaments every single week. I feel like every time I turn on a tournament in the US, it feels like Brian D is there doing work, bro. Like if it isn't top 8, it's like first place. So this is what comes to fruition. When you train this much, when you practice this much, when you put yourself in these hot seats so much, this is the result, top 8. But can you seal the deal for your CPT spot?
The craziest thing is this is only the winner's side. Like we still have so many more games to go through, but at the same time, it's like, you know what, we still get a chance to see either one of these players play. Just one of them has to be on the loser side, and that's just how it goes.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's I mean, I wouldn't say it's like sad because both of these cats are playing out of their minds right now. And it's so early on, too. And then the reward for playing so good is having to face off against Cabo.
Bro, the Cabo versus Brian D is like a classic. That is a classic.
Sick. I can't see
if that happens.
So if that happens, right? Will it be a Guile mirror match? Is going to be my main question. But then
Kimberly.
If it's Ajax versus Cabo, I wish I knew the record prior to coming into this top 8 between those two lads. I want to see who's had like the upper hand against one over the other. So hopefully somebody could tweet that out. Maybe you could hook us up with some of these stats. Yeah. Be sure to hit us up or even like mention at Capcom Fighter so the production would know as well. In the meantime, we've been waiting on Ajax versus Brian D. There is a little bit of a hold up, so please bear with us. Have a little bit of patience. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, if you will. So on top of trying to reassess, there happens to be some things that didn't necessarily align, at least in the lobby for now. So again, just full transparency between our table to you guys. Want to make sure that you guys are currently locked in. We do have the ticker going on down below as well to check out some of the scores that we've had throughout the entirety of our top 16. Going into our top 8, just to kind of re-mention it, Kaba took down Hochi 3-2. But we also have the ticker kind of go off against, or at least go off and represent some of the scores over at World Warrior as well. We have so many different World Warriors going on this weekend, right?
There are a million. It feels like it's so hard to keep up with everything.
It's difficult.
It's a good problem though. It's a good problem though. You know, I'd like to watch everything, so I have to like schedule myself to watch this one. I didn't watch the Japanese one at all, where Tokido took that.
No, I just wait during the week. Like, there's no way I could cram it all in like during the weekend because after this show, it's like I'm spent. Like I'm already.
Yeah, you're done. You're tired.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a bunch of stuff I have to do on the weekend, unfortunately, because it's like working like 7 days a week. But yeah, during like the weekdays, like Monday through Friday, it's like, all right, I isolate this time slot to watch World Warrior. Like it's so much fun to do it that way, I feel like, because it's like you get to really invest yourself into the matches and watch it on your own time without any pressure instead of having to like catch up or whatever. Like I don't mind being a little bit behind because then it just builds up for the excitement. It's like
they make it here.
Everybody's watching their shows weekly. It's like I stay away from Twitter to avoid spoilers. I treat it the same way. It's like, you know what, I don't want to.
I'm sorry, I've been spoiling the one.
To be fair, I was already like the only spoiler I was looking for was the World Warrior one because that one's got me like hooked. I'm like I have to know
because that was so back and forth and.
It's hard. Wild. It's hard to tell. I think that one's like the most difficult bracket to play in. I don't know. Like there's so many different entrants, but I could be wrong, right? There could be other ones in the European region where it's just like, man, this storyline is actually going crazy, which is really up to like the European commentators. I do want to hear I keep tabs on everybody's Twitter per region to make sure like there's like some headlines and some stories that are like being told as well, because like you have to get that storyline out there. I feel like, because there's so many big players making big waves too. And also, at the same time, we see some players that are doing the most with characters that we weren't expecting as well. So there's so many different storylines going on. It's hard to keep up.
That Lily player that was out in Japan is doing work too as well.
Yeah, of course. And then also Ending Walker, man. Ending Walker still representing both Ryu and Ken. He's a full Shoto bro, and I like that. I do like that. Man, he's such a quiet cat until it comes to something he really needs to get off his chest.
Oh, yeah, he talks a lot.
And he goes
in a good way.
And no. Yeah. He's so intelligent about the game also.
Yeah. And positively intelligent too as well. I feel like he's very...
His game sense is so strong that it's unbelievable that he's been like... I don't know if he's actually been trained by anybody else other than like maybe his dad. Like I don't know if he's had any sort of like tutelage from other like players
and stuff like
prior,
that. Yeah.
But his dad also like knows a ton about fighting games.
Really? I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So
Baba Walker, you out here? Let's go.
That info was told, I think, at Capcom Cup. I think that's what was said like pretty early on. But I'm just going off of the lore of what others have said. But at the same time, Ending Walker is definitely a lad that has like really, really established himself in terms of like having high game sense, in terms of like not complaining on Twitter.
A good Twitter game. A very good
Twitter game. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I definitely understand because this game can be stressful, can be, difficult to understand where things lie and accept things when you first start a game, especially the first couple of months when everyone learns offense and defense is something you learn as you go and try to figure out, remember the perfect parry stuff? Oh, we should buff perfect parry and give it more damage.
Like, why does it not do enough damage? I'm like, you understand, like, this is a huge situation changer depending on like where you're at too in the game.
I'm glad they didn't change that.
No, like that's one of the biggest things that we all talked about. I think like from like the upper echelon too, we're just kind of like, I think like perfect parry in terms of like the damage scaling, I don't think that's the threat. I don't think that's like the main concern. But other than that, like I would love to see the different kind of looks that other players might have in regards to like what perfect parry, like how perfect parry can be changed in terms of like what they think should change for certain other characters, not even just like the main two suspects like JP and Ken. We've heard all the gripes of like what can be buffed, what can be nerfed, but I want to hear like what everybody has to say across the board for all of the characters, right?
Everybody, every character. I also want to see what people think about like when we get to that stage where we do change the game, like what people say about like the system mechanics and things like that, like what they want to alter with that, because I feel like that may be the way to change things. Because in my opinion, and I saw this from Infilament, shouts to them, they're like there's only a few things that they would change in the game in general, just a few small things that they would change in the game in general in the next season, and they were like, I want to keep the power level high. And I also want to see the power level of these characters stay high. I don't want things to be retracted. I don't want to lose the fun. There's a lot of fun in this game, right? It's explosive. It's snowbally, yes. There's a lot of fun in this game. I don't like removing fun and features from characters and things like that.
I trusted Filament's word. I've had personal talks with him one-on-one in regards to like fighting game theory and just like his plethora, his plethora of like fighting game knowledge is always going to be like astounding. So like I'm always going to listen to like a scholar like him. He knows what he's talking about. And I will say that like full-fledged like warrior, if you will, in a bunch of different fighting games. So it's like, if he's saying, he wants to see that type of playstyle, and it's like, it does make sense. A lot of folks kind of lean towards that even earlier on before he even made that statement out. He's like, a lot of players kind of have a lot more fun when characters kind of just get buffed all across the board. We did happen to see that big change with Street Fighter V, if I'm not mistaken, right? Once we saw a lot of these characters, like even the big upswing when we had like the change of hands in Capcom, we had a significant upswing towards like the quality of life towards like a lot of the characters.
Right? Really diversifying what they're doing, and maybe some characters got things removed, but they ended up being okay. Urien, for example, was a big one. Taking away his reversal didn't really matter that much. Still making waves with that character out in the league and things like that. So I suspect we'll get something similar when we do get that patch for this game.
Of course.
But on the real deal though, first iteration of a game, this one is fantastic. Actually,
phenomenal.
my favorite one for a first iteration, honestly. My favorite out the gate. It's not perfectly balanced, but it's where I think it's a really great start. It's a really great start, and it's where it needs to be before they continue it on after like a year.
No doubt, I think there's a lot of shout-outs that need to be said also to the guys that implemented rollback with their releases as well, being the pioneers of that too, kind of being the first to implement that. Shout-outs to those games and those developers as well, and then also having Capcom acknowledge that and then run the ball with it. That also is super impressive. So overall, obviously you guys are listening to us babble a good amount. Well, It's due to the fact that we do have a slight technical issue going on with the players as well. We want to ensure that the caliber of the matches are not compromised, and to ensure that both of these players have a good time playing without any sort of like hiccups in the lobby, any sort of hiccups in the gameplay. So we are being fully transparent with you, and we will get that game running up shortly. It's it's going to be Ajax versus Brian D. So far, it's been 2-2, pretty neck and neck. But if you saw how the game started, you would have thought the other. Brian D was absolutely dominant. 2-0 first against Ajax. Then the man with the plan, Mr. Fidelita, came back. Man, you guys had to come back right when I said the word Fidelita, huh? That was weird. Fidelita. The man with the plan, right, made the full adaptation, tying it up 2-2.
Yeah, it was a really good match. We'll see what happens with it. We'll get there in a minute, but, shout out to this scene just in general. Shout out to the Red Rooster people as well. I just want to give them a big highlight because, hey, first stack's on the way.
Man, I love that. I love those guys, man.
They're so
Mono
great.
PR, shout out to him too, man. He's really putting on for his scene, obviously, talking about running a local. That's not easy, man.
That is not. At the same time as being a player, like, come on.
Trying to do that in 4 was already, like, difficult enough. Shout out to all the UGC people, by the way. Running those tournaments for like the Versus series, you had Street Fighter as well, all the older games. It's like trying to run that plus the stream plus playing in it. I'm like, dude, it's so many sleepless nights. So I do appreciate Mono PR sticking to it. He's been doing that like way before Street Fighter 6 too. So it's not easy. Shout out to all the TOs out there that are actively like putting it together, getting their crew fed as well, broadcasting it week in, week out with full consistency. Man, you guys are crazy good. Like we know what it's like, man. In SoCal, like we unfortunately lost our big majors, but at the same time, we're building up. We still got our local. We have Game Realms. We have Game Realms right around the corner. So big shout outs to them. I know JD's running that as well. He's starting to like really put it together too with his team. But we're getting there. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a TO is truly a thankless job. So big shout outs to everybody there. Also, Big Jabali throwing it down. CEO Talk is going to be coming up real soon.
Gonna be real
Street Fighter 6. If you want to run it back, you let me know, player. But for the most part, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Both the viewers at home, tuning into every single event that we can ask for, and also like keeping it pretty vocal, right? On top of the trolling that happens on social media, the guys that are like keeping it active and talking about the FGC, first and foremost, being a part of it is a phenomenal experience, and you actively like participating in it is always going to be a blessing. So again, big ups to everybody that's been tuning in and also just kind of hanging out with us thus far, still trying to figure out what's going on between these two, right?
Trying to connect some wires out here on the Capcom podcast. Capcom, maybe we should run a podcast out here. Maybe Capcom.
I've been trying to. Like I've talked to plenty of people over at Capcom to kind of like get that going, but I do want to know is when we can get some of the big guys up as well in terms of some of these podcasts. But in the meantime, you guys have been tuning in to the Capcom Pro Tour. We've been talking about Central America East to see who will qualify, but we got to cut it to a break in just a little bit. In the meantime, I do want to remind you folks at home that the registration is open for the entirety of the Capcom Pro Tour. However, there are deadlines as to when the registration will be closing. For Brazil, coming up real soon, Monday, September 18th, 8 a.m. That's going to be your cutoff time for your registration. But again, all regions are currently open. And if we could flip the script a little bit, I don't know if we have the schedule coming up a little bit afterwards, but just to kind of keep you guys honest as to what to mark down. Obviously, Brazil happening September 23rd. We're going to have a little bit of a break after that with 2 weekends to kind of chill and look forward to every other event that's been going on with the World Warrior. Then it's back to business over on October 14th, where we have South Africa. Man, I'm excited about that region as well. Then to follow it up, October 20th through the 22nd, our big offline premiere in Singapore. You don't want to miss that.
That is going to be absolutely flames and fire. It's going to be offline too as well, which is going to be absolutely cool. We're seeing a lot of people from around the world sign up, and y'all should be signing up for the World Warriors if you can. If you have not done so, get out there immediately and sign up ASAP. You can hit the website real quick with it. That's CapcomProTour.com. But if you're also hungry for more than just battles, Chipotle has joined hands with Capcom during the first year of Street Fighter 6. Download the app and order some carne asada back on the grill for a limited amount of time. If you're hungry, this is one thing to eat ASAP. Now, as we mentioned, we're going to have to head a quick break, maybe grab some Chipotle, but when we return, there'll be more Street Fighter 6 coming your way. Don't miss it.
Chipotle's carne asada is back. It's our most tender cuts of steak, grilled and seasoned with cumin, oregano, and coriander. Finished with fresh lime and hand-chopped cilantro. Carne asada. This is our best steak ever.
Time to work, time to work. When inhaled, coriamyrtin blocks the gamma-aminobutyric acid receptors in the central nervous system, causing spasmodic muscle contractions.
Master, it's a work of art! It's perfect!
What to do with you now? So, shall we put him out of his misery? Time for some experimentation. I bet poison would work wonders on you. I wouldn't move if I were you. Poison's on the menu. I'm finished with you. I have you. It's over. My art is dead. Let's do now. Here, there, then here, and... My magnum opus! Is my poison kicking in?
Street Fighter 6.
Objection!
TGS 2023 Capcom Online Special Program. Program starts September 21st, Thursday, 7 a.m. PDT. Dragon's Dogma 2. Resident Evil 4. Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney Trilogy. Exo Primal. Street Fighter 6. Get all of the latest Capcom news with this special program. Don't miss it on September 21st, Thursday, 7 a.m. PDT.
In 2017, the fighting game community was put on notice. Officially, we had a new region crowned as one of the absolute kings of our Street Fighter community. And of course, that was the Dominican Republic, led by the championship win of Mina RD. And today we have the honor of talking to the team president of Bandits and the person who actually fought of Blink Respawn in the first place, my man's Damaso Garcia. Blink, of course, became Blink Respawn specifically one of the dopest tournaments that we have in the FGC when it comes to the Street Fighter community. You know, hopefully Big Hollywood will be there this year and everything, man. Can you just tell me about what was that like starting up Blink? What gave you the idea?
Yeah, it's basically, we were inspired especially by what you guys were doing, watching how Evo was growing, how all the tournaments in the US were growing. We have to bring talented players. We have to bring the best experiences to our local scene here in the Dominican Republic. Blink started actually in 2018. After for 2 years, we did tournaments in malls. When Mana won, as you said in the beginning, Capcom Cup, all those people I try to make contact and try to sell them the ideas of doing big stuff here in the DR. They were like, oh, now it's serious. They needed, that was a proof of concept. They needed a champion.
That's
so
fire.
They left you on red before.
Yeah, it opened the flood doors. Everything happened so fast here in the DR. People started to give us meetings to talk about the ideas we had at the time. So Mana basically took it from one step to another, to the big leagues. The name is basically what it is. It was the next time, our next operation, and I said, let's call it Respawn. That's our first big event, and we hosted it last year in November. I guess you guys saw Punk. He came here. He gave us a wonderful match with Mana, and that's what we want to bring every year if we're able to host this event for more people from the States, from Europe, from Asia, South America, Central America, Africa. We have open doors so they can come and compete and try their luck against our best players. So that's basically the concept behind Respawn.
That's awesome to hear, and it's awesome to hear how Mena helped open those doors. But not to discredit yourself, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. It sounds like you were prepared, you and your team were preparing for that moment, and then Mena, it was the spark that set off the the ignition, the fuel that you guys had already been working on. So it's amazing to see how it all came together, and you guys have produced amazing events so far, and you've been producing also the World Warrior events as well. So not just the offline events, you're also contributing to the overall scene in the Dominican Republic and and Puerto Rico as well, the Caribbean Street Fighter scene as a whole.
Now that Street Fighter 6 is on, we're like getting the triple of signups that we did last year. So that
triple is amazing.
Yeah. It tells you the state the game is in right now. How everyone's hyped up.
One of the most exciting regions in the world. And I'm telling you what, I did some interviews with Daigo and those boys at EVO, a lot of Japanese, and they set out their own mouths. They think that right now, the Dominican Republic definitely is probably the strongest region in the world right now, and I am inclined to agree. Damaso, I appreciate your time and everything, man. It was absolutely amazing talking to you, even though you made me and Brian's background look bad.
And we're back with the CPT Central America East. Still ongoing, still in the winter side of things, and still trying to figure out what is going to happen with this top 8 spot. My name is Sinko. I'm joined with Vicious. We've had some great action. We've kind of had some technical difficulties we're still trying to iron out, but regardless, it has been a fun time. Even the first match has been fantastic with Kaba taken to the limit, but still moving on the bracket. That's a good sign in terms of how close things, maybe I didn't even think were going to be, but ended up being.
Yeah, I feel like it always switches up when it comes to the top 8. We have 3 out of 5 territory. It could have gone by the wayside if you were looking at also Ajax versus Brian D. Brian D actually established mad dominance pretty early with a 2-0, then Ajax flipping it in return. But it's tied up. You would have thought it would have been over by now, but it's still 2-2. We are experiencing technical difficulties in the lobby. We're still trying to figure it out. Maybe have these guys move over to a battle hub, and also maybe you guys might be able to check it out. But we're going to keep that information a secret. I feel like I don't want you guys funding the battle hub. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But for the most part, we are still trying to figure out the current issue with the lobby. I posted out a tweet earlier to ask everybody that's currently playing if anybody's having any sort of problems with the lobby, anybody's sort of experiencing anything going on CFN. Please let us know. Also, as well, we're still trying to figure it out. We do have direct lines with Capcom. We're trying to figure this all out. But we do have a little bit of a switch up. I think we're going to be moving on into a different match until we can find a way to conclude our previous match between Ajax and Brian D. But for the most part, I think we will be making that switch up into losers.
Ah, yes. We'll start sending some people home this top 8 spot. Edward Ting, Louis Man, one of the matches that we have down there. Also Jimmy DR and G. Roy. But, of course, we're going to be starting with the Sim versus the DJ. Now, Louis Man has been on that Sim doing a lot of work. BHD CM, and has been just fantastic. But Edward Ting, though, changing up the bracket, changing up the timeline when he had fought Mono and defeated Mono in that DJ mirror match. So it got him in the top 8. Let's see if we can advance through the bracket. I think we do actually have a quote from Louis Man up here on the deck. Simple stuff. I have to win.
I mean, you have to. I mean, like, looking into the current predicament that he's in, right, in the loser side, he's only got one shot, right? And Louis Man, again, being one of the big practitioners of, like, the Dalsum school, if you will, also is one of the main components towards, like, the upbringing of the Dominican Republic, right? I think he's been one of the main training partners, the mainstays of the Mena RD Kaba household, really. They essentially call him the brother. Like, he is, like, the brother, right? So, I don't know what the actual family tie is between them, because I don't know if it's, like, blood related or not. I actually don't remember. But either way, it's going to be someone who's pretty much well-versed in the Champions household, right? So you'd expect maybe, like, you know, that type of caliber. And you're looking at it, too, like the way that he's been performing with Dalsum. A little bit of a mishap earlier from his top 16 performance, but obviously he cleaned it up. He made it all the way to top 8. So looking at it against Edward Ting, speaking of cleaning it up, the DJ proved to be the most effective against the mirror match. He took down one of the #1 prospects from Puerto Rico, which was Mono. And I got to say, man, I haven't really been as familiar with Edward Ting, but looking at it, right, he placed 13th at their World Warriors. So this guy, he's definitely the business, right? This guy has a DJ.
And we've seen him activate and really get more solid as the match goes on. I feel like the first round, maybe it's shaky or maybe it's data, not sure what it is, but it's like the second. And as the match goes on, he just gets better and better and better. And it just looks like a completely different cat. Just gets stronger and stronger. I feel like that's how it went with when he had fought Mono and previously his other opponents too as well. So we'll have to see if that same sort of energy is there. You being a DJ player, what do you think about this matchup overall when you fight Sim? What are you looking for?
I don't fight Sims.
You know what? As I say that, I'm like, who? Besides, like, I guess Sabrina, but like,
I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't know the matchup. Like, even as a commentator, sometimes it's okay to just be like, dude, I don't know. Like, if I'm looking at it on paper, right? I've played Dalsims at a diamond level. Like, when I was doing my climb with DJ, and this was the first character I picked up. Like, he was like obviously the #1 on my radar. I wanted to see how DJ played in this iteration. Obviously, they showed him a lot of love. But it's like, my understanding of the game wasn't as strong. So if I were to say, like, yeah, I think DJ does a great time against Dalsum on paper, I feel like that should be taken with a grain of salt because it's so early. I think overall, DJ might be able to flex some advantages, at least in the fireball department, but Dalsum has such a way of getting around that, especially with how much recovery DJ has on his fireballs. So I don't think that's going to be the issue. One of the biggest issues, I feel like, is how to stop the drive rush, which Dalsum, I feel like, can possibly do. And this is also a matchup we see in Street Fighter League as well. But as it stands right now, Dalsum is still critically underdeveloped.
Yeah, 100%. I think that there was an early time where Sim players were saying that this matchup wasn't fun, but that was like before they really fleshed out this character. Knee drop was something I was definitely going to look out for. I saw like Dogra fight, I believe it was Waichi Mochi on CFN, just to kind of check out the matchup a little bit. Knee drop looked like it was a really nasty tool to catch some of these limbs that were extended. Also looked like it was kind of hard to anti or some of these sequences. Oh,
that's exactly what I was talking about, right? Even if you try to establish dominance with the different types of fireballs, Dalsum does have a way around it. We're looking at the strike throw game as well, but Edward Ting, this is important. Yeah, you cannot get away with trying to drive impact somebody who kind of breaks time and space. Being able to teleport out of that is so important, but Louis Man was in full control.
Oh, this is bad. In the corner, burnout, walk up throw, nice and easy and breezy. Edward Ting takes the first victory. I do like that teleport out, though. Louis Man with the deepest on the deck, but it wasn't enough. The follow-up with the drive rush, no. He actually just does double dash. This is fine. Doesn't need to spin that bar extra. He has him up in the corner.
I guess that's fine, too. Yeah, you don't want to spend it where you don't want to. And you could get a juggle off of it, but at the same time, it was pretty far, so the punish counter. Everything the second hit's coming. No, sir. The punish counter is there. Other side. What a block from Edward.
Airing though here from Louis Man. Good defense, but I like that offense, though. Wake up with violence. Does it work out? Nah, we punish. Too far up the distance, strike throw. He goes for the throw. Louis Man put up in the corner. This is looking real bad.
Look at the damage incoming, but you're going to see the burnout perhaps. No, what was that? Louis Man, excuse me. Oh, it was. Don't tell me that was a bait, bro. Do not tell me that was a bait. But this is going to be tough, right? That sequence right there, he could keep him jailed.
Yes, Yoga Flame would definitely help out with that. Fireball, yup. Yoga arch and the lows over and over again, bro.
I've seen that somewhere before. Mm-hmm. You know, I've definitely seen Filipino champ utilize that right in the early beginning of early phases of developing Dawson.
Yep.
But it was Zaffarino, I feel like, Zaffarino had automatically putting out a lot of Twitter clips revolving around that strategy at the lockdown.
So I see the strength of his characters from those two. Louis Man showcases strength right now with that level 3 immediately. This is really big right here. He's gonna build up his bar right back into the green, gonna give himself a nice little lead, and they can come to him to get that victory. In this distance, we'll see what happens. OD fireball reverse a little bit. Okay, so bot worked out.
Oh, that was hella plus 2. Dawson not only blocked that crouching, but it was also the drive rush version. Man, Edward getting the full capitalization off of that.
The fake out. Finds a punish counter. Drive rush again? You're dead.
He had like, what, I think two more juggles if he wanted to. 2 more reps of that. That's also pretty funny to look at, too. Just the medium punch target combo is so good.
What's really good is the awareness to check and challenge all these teleports. I like that. You cannot let those go for free when you have the time to be able to punish those. And we did see that punish right there. Edward Ting also switching up the aerial approach and the fireballs.
Yeah.
Maybe the fireballs aren't like the biggest deal, but they definitely help establish, some of that neutral right there. OD fireball clipping some of these limbs so he can double dash in and start that oppression and party. He's not focused too much on that, so he's not getting punished, which is smart stuff. Edward Ting knows this matchup.
And I'm glad it's the OD version because that thing is big. That thing is ginormous. A giant circle just coming at you. Now, I was thinking about just like off the cusp, right? You're thinking about like maybe just like a heavy fireball or the regular fireball. That's a whole different story, right? We've seen Louis Man kind of get around that as well, throwing out some of these preemptive limbs too. But Edward Ting, again, not afraid of letting a little bit of drive gauge go first.
Yeah. Very smart stuff. There's that knee drop again. Access point, runs a machine gun upper, posted up in the corner, back rise still, no surprise. My man's busting that forward medium kick, and again the challenge, and check. You cannot teleport for free, you gotta layer it on something different.
I was actually very surprised that Edward Ting opted not to press the button after the forward medium kick was blocked. And that was crouching again. We talked about that earlier. Dawson, a lot more susceptible to like a frame trap. Burnout is the situation for Edward. Again, trying to contest against the Yoga Fire. If it's predictable, he will be teleporting past it. Yeah, oh no, a little bit too far out for the juggle of the back medium punch. That's going to be just far enough. Setup City, look at the damage.
Game, you're dead. Meaty as hell, you have to parry, but it doesn't matter. The lows right there. Yoga Fire up in the corner is nasty. You wake up here, you're still caught up in a bad situation.
That Yoga Flame, being that active and also lasting as long as it does, it's going to leave you in a very, very bad position, or at least unfavorable one most of the time. Back throw, what's the setup though?
They're trying to find a way to anti-air, not be in the same space to get that knee drop. Blessing that dome, very smart stuff. OD Fireball out and about.
And look at that. Look at how cautious both players are in terms of like maneuvering past fireballs. Oh, help! Nice.
Yeah. Stop the Yoga Mummy. OD Fireball.
Punish counter! And he's close enough! You're dead.
Definitely deader than dead.
Oh, he's not going to spend it. He's not going to spend it. I totally get it. Edward Ting still has so much life. And, that also would have been... So it didn't connect, right? Obviously, there wasn't a combo. Louis Man tried to avoid blocking it because either way, it was going to be a checkmate. And this is a great start for Edward Ting. Letting the level 3 rock early, full body massage. Both hands, I see.
Yep, from the front and in the back. Just like that, you go up in the corner. Drive rush. Yes, sir. Goes for the impact. He knew. Goes for the parry to stay solid. Teleport. And again! The recovery caught. Edward Ting knows what to do, whether it's a jab or an OD jackknife. He's always ready to say to punish that. Louis Man on the back foot right now.
It's also kind of deceptive using the parry instead of like normally blocking because you can't tell if the character's crouching or not.
Right.
It's because of the animation. But Louis Man, this is going to be significant, right? We do have the damage output from the level 3, not CA, level 3, but the burnout is here too. With the arch rip, OD version, he still runs into it, punish counter. No, Louis Man wasn't ready for the punish counter.
Nice. Did not commit to a drive impactable button. This is bad in Sim. When you have to fight him in Burnout, it is terrible, terrifying. It doesn't matter. Edward Ting does not care.
What was that? There was a reversal from the side of Louis Man, and he got clipped. Edward was the one that was in Burnout. I can't tell what it could have been. Maybe a teleport, perhaps, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know what he could have been trying to do. Like, any sort of reversal after a blocked normal like that, that's cancelable? That's a hard read, man.
Yeah. Right now I'm reading that Edward Ting is about to send Louis Man down and make a big upset I mean, the way he's playing this match was fantastic. Even though we do see him in Burnout, we don't see that being too much of a threat or a problem. I think that Louis Man needs to look at that situation and say, I have him in Burnout. What can I do to really make this swing back into my favor? You know, when that does happen, Sim has many ways to play and chipping you out, you know, going for these sequences that if you do get the knockdown, you evaporate their health. After they are in Burnout, I need to see that happen. That's what we see from other Sim players, and Louis Man not taking advantage of the moments when they happen. Also, teleporting has been caught and stuff and stopped continuously. That's, I think, got to be careful.
I think that's fine up until like a certain degree, right? Like if you have like a certain amount of life, trying to just escape the corner and eating the OD jackknife, I think that's fine. Like you're getting some of your life drained out. Sure, you lose whatever momentum, but you recreate the space away from your opponent. That's one. You take away some of the drive gauge as well. That's two. I think that's like life you're willing to pay, right?
Just to leave the corner.
Yeah,
that makes
leave
sense.
The corner
Yeah,
and be able to play at the range that Dawson wants to play, so long as the other person doesn't have like a drive rush forward, right? But then it's DJ. So it really depends. I think it's like very situational. But at that point, I think it's a good valid point to bring up, Cola, that if Louis Man is at the deficit and him kind of like making that risk of just getting out of the corner, that just only further leads into your demise, right? It's like, how much more health do you have? But Louis Man makes the switch into the Shoto. It's Ken, but does he have the sauce?
We'll have to see. I mean, don't think I've ever seen his Ken, but I think we're all Ken out here with this character.
I agree. Just picking the character, I feel like you're already winning.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I could hear the bell dinging as soon as we get that drive impact happening. But yeah, everything ready for the OG uppercut and the punish counter. Yes, sir. Strike throw is going to be the constant heavy punch all the way to the corner. Not going to be quite there just yet. Of course, he's ready for the uppercut. Jackknife has been charged since Street Fighter 4. This guy, Edward Ting, he's got it locked down. Plus scenario as well.
Oh.
That was sick. That crouching jab, an attempt to possibly tick throw, just creates enough space to make you think that exact thing. Louis Man looking at his demise right now.
Yup, he wins this. This rider's out of this character. Run DP, push to the corner, raw Tatsu.
Sick.
You know what? It works out. He finds a shimmy, the finesse and bless. Run DP looking a lot better. At least this Ken corner pressure does look really good. I will give him that. The jab.
Keeping it safe, keeping it standard.
Jab.
Whatever works. You're going to see that a lot, too. The big walk back again. The throw bait from Edward Ting. Carve out a cool beat. So this is going to be significant, right? It's going to be CA damage. Build yourself a lot of drive gauge. But at this point in time, I don't think you could drive rush forward because of the threat of level 3.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, he tried to get the fake out. Yep. But yeah, he knew it, though. So gets the impact. Almost a wrap. You see him walking forward to build as much gauge as possible. Before we say, no, just go for the damage right here. Double DP. Back in business, but it doesn't matter. One more hit, we'll see it. Edward Ting looking to make the upset right here. OD fireball. Louis Man looking for a way out.
He's chilling. He's chilling. You cannot jump on this man. Throwing the fireball is going to be an interesting endeavor to deal with, but okay. Back throw. Oh, that's huge. Louis Man. What was that?
You should have run DP. No, you are out of the tournament. If you would have did run DP, it would have worked out. He thought the DP would work in that chip, no dip situation, but that's it. Edward Ting still on the Tings and still moving on. The Ken just not enough to take down the DJ.
Not like this, dude. The run DP in a level 3 would have been it. Oh, my Lord. That's rough. That's rough.
That's real bad. That's real bad. What's real good right here is Edward Ting against a sim pick. You know, this is not a character you get to play against a lot unless you're looking for sim players like Louis Man. But he definitely had the plan out here, like the knee drops, like the OD fireballs, and checking and challenging. See, moments like this where you're right, the teleport would work out to leave the corner, but that led to death right there. And Edward Ting, that was a bad moment.
You can lead into, like, if you have drive rush still, you could lead into a lot of damage off of that. That was a punish counter mid-air, too. That sucks. That's really rough. But Edward Ting showing full confidence in not only just his DJ play, but also in the matchups too. He was in full control against whatever it is that Louis Man wanted to do as Dalsum. He made the right decisions to stop him on the teleports as well, but also the sheer dominance from the Ken matchup too. That's something you need to have in mind, but man, 100%. Even if Louis Man went for the run uppercut, if it didn't kill him going into like level 3, that would have been like such a tough climb either way because he didn't have a round behind him. Right.
He spent all that bar already. Like, we can do in the next round.
Yeah, what are you doing in the next round?
Well, we'll worry about that a little bit later in the World Warrior because right now Louis Man's only chance is through that. And right now, Edward Ting moves on the bracket. We'll be moving on the bracket too as well. Jimmy DR versus G-Roy. It's going to be some Marisa versus some JP.
Interesting. Now, historically, and I do mean by historically, I mean like just a couple of months. I think Marisa has a little bit of a hard time against JP. I think there's a lot that JP can do to kind of stuff out Marisa and what she wants to do. But there's also certain ranges where Marisa can kind of abuse the armor and face off against JP with like any of the normals that he presents, right? I've watched a ton of this going back and forth between like Big Bird and his some of like entries and tournament runs and whatnot.
Right.
He's had a hard time against JP's up until this point. I feel like he still has a hard time against JP. So this is a tough call, though. I will say that Jimmy DR really didn't get to shine in the spotlight in comparison to what he played in top 16. He played against Ajax Fidelity. He got 2-0'd pretty significantly. But once he got put into like the loser's pool and the faced off against the other players like HECM, we saw a whole different side of Jimmy, like actually utilizing the tools that Marisa is blessed with. G-Roy, I feel like, is of that same caliber, right? He faced off against Brian D, looked pretty reluctant to do anything, kind of pensive in terms of like trying to take action as JP against Ken. But in this particular matchup, I feel like he would be the one to initiate most of the time.
Yeah, of course. I think that definitely is the case when it comes to JP. But then again, for Marisa, I know this is crazy to say, it's her damage that keeps her in the game. It's the threat of just deleting 70% of your health off the table at any point with some good neutral behind it. Always lets her stay in the game no matter the matchup. We're actually going to quote from Jimmy DR up on the deck. What do he has to say?
For now, G-Roy has been one of my mentors to improve myself in these 2 months that I have been playing. This fight will be very difficult for me, but I will dare to do everything. Damn. Dare to do everything. Pull out all the stops. I like it. Good luck to all. From Jimmy DR to all of his combatants, fellow combatants, as well as G-Roy. That's pretty cool, man. Like, obviously, these guys are pretty close-knit. The whole Tigers crew, Tigers and Bandits in general, everybody from the Dominican Republic, these guys are very much so tight-knit in regards to like their gameplay. So, and their brotherhood, obviously. So this is going to be a matchup I feel like is going to go beyond just like what you expect on paper. It was Lord Venom, by the way, that I was talking about. Facing off against Big Bird. So that's the kind of matchup that we're so familiar with. I kind of want to see if it goes like beyond the kind of matchup that we're so used to seeing, right? Considering they are training partners.
Right. There's going to be that extra level being on the same team and being friends and being homies. It's bringing out something different. I feel like that's been the case for a lot of these matches, which is really good. Again, you get to see an upper echelon rather than just I'm fighting this person for the first time. It's a great thing about regional play. But back to this matchup, though, like I definitely think that Gladius will be important. Superman Punch being able to land it. The dumping and dishing out of damage also are important too as well. But I mean, JP, we've seen him get more dangerous and dangerous as time has went on, as people have been more accustomed to the neutral with the character stand medium punch, crouching medium punch too as well. There was a time in the beginning where people were like, "Yo, his mid range doesn't feel good," and that has changed. That has since changed since Kakaru has entered the scene and showcased what he can do. And when you're comfortable in the neutral with those buttons, and what those buttons also represent too as well, right after like crouching medium punch as a driver starter, as a driver stopper too as well, what it leads to, the conversions and combos, the mixes that character can do. JP's he's pretty good.
That's an understatement. You take a notice too at like the way both of these characters are built in terms of defense. Both can get themselves out of dire situations while in burnout, right?
That's true.
Amnesia, although not OD version, still having access to Amnesia can really break through against somebody who's trying to do maybe like a drive impact string that may not be like normally escapable. So can get out of that. Marisa also still will have armor if she decides to implement Gladius during some of these strings as well. So
that's true.
Very, very interesting to see how both of these players are going to combat each other once burnout happens. I want to see if there's going to be any erroneous drive impacts and kind of like the mishaps of forgetting about like the armor from both ends. So I want to see if that ever comes into play or if it's going to just be a complete wash because of the damage that can be dealt from both ends, right?
Yeah, definitely can be dealt out from both ends. But I'm definitely curious to see how the meter management is going to be on the side of Marisa because, like, she's a thirsty girl. To get things going and flowing in a lot of sequences, she needs drive rush to continue her pressure. You have to really be thinking about when you drive rush. I mean, she seems like a simple character, but that's like the next step in being a really good Marisa player. You watch like Big Bird and how he, allocates his bar for certain situations. It's why he's able to dump out that damage. It doesn't come for free. You do have the access sometimes, but what gives that access is being good with your meter. meter. Same with JP. I mean, JP, he could dish out the damage, but he really needs that with that bar even more so sometimes. It feels like. Even without bar, he's still really good. But you see the sequences. It takes all the drive gauge and the bar at the bottom and stuff like that to really do the damage. We'll see what happens. We'll see what's going to be on that 70% side of things between these two.
Looking forward to a game 1, G-Roy versus Jimmy, both representing Tigers. And we see the Quadriga already starting things off from the side of Jimmy to kind of catch possibly a normal from G-Roy. And speaking of normals, man, that was a whiff punish and a half. Crouching medium punch is nasty.
It's a good button. It's a real good button. Nice little jump medium punch. Also something that's been exercised recently. Good to stuff and challenge things. Crouching light punch starter gets them for the departure out and about. There's that pushback. He's ready for that option, ready for the anti-Street Fighter 6 play.
Oh, that was sick. What a weight from G-Roy, too. Damn! Immediately afterwards, Jimmy is falling susceptible to the good old Tetris block. Shout out to Tasty Steve. I don't know why he calls the jump roundhouse from JP the Tetris block, but
because you're holding the L right after you get hit by it.
I guess so. I gotta talk to him about that. I gotta ask him, pick his brain a little bit. Oh, you saw him buffering the OD amnesia, and you saw the attempt at enfold from Jimmy DR, but no juggle. Fortunately enough for Jimmy. Gets to bring back JP right back into the corner, and that wasn't even a combo. I feel like. Oh, no, it was. I'm sorry. That was me. My bad. That was meaty enough. Okay. My bad. That was meaty enough. Yeah, okay.
But Jimmy spinning that bar at the very end and then getting the W after he got him against the corner, what we're talking about. There's a crouch burst anti-air right there. Actually works out. Against some plus buttons of the aerial approach from JP. Crazy.
It's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, you mistimed the meaty overhead. For the departure, yes, still able to juggle. Oh, no.
No fault for the Sam Pierce. Unfortunate. Get in. There's the answer. Perfectly spaced over this place. Toe tap it just like that. Level 3. Take all of it. Mwah.
Turn to dust. He's old already, man. Like, come on, guys. That's, ugh. Now you know history. I mean, like, he's older than the entire cast. I think, so.
Yeah.
He does know history. He's done the books. He's seen it.
He's cooked the books, too.
This guy's cooked the books for the most evil organization in the Capcom universe. Okay, maybe not the most evil, right? There's still, Umbrella.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know who's more on the evil side, like Shadowloo or Umbrella. You know what I mean? Like,
this dude's an accountant for Shadowloo. I think he might be the most evil.
I mean, perhaps. I don't know. Like, worse. Wesker could be far worse. Who knows?
That's true.
He might have a degree in finance. Anyways, looking into it, the sandwich effect coming in from the double departure is pretty important. The forward throw now is going to be everything for G-Roy. I feel like Jimmy being pushed in the corner like this, the Gladius being used as an anti-air sometimes, or just a buzz-out tool works out a lot for some of these Marisa players.
Go for Sam Fierce to start the party off, push him in the corner, try to call some of these buttons. There we go, the target combo, the knockdown, almost end of the round. Actually going to go for the meteorite. Is that good night? Yes, sir. Jimmy DR. Making the magic happen in the corner.
That's a lot of damage.
That is a lot.
She is phenomenal when it comes to like the damage outburst, the damage potential. It's so fun. Like one of the biggest things that I obviously enjoy about fighting games is watching health bars explode. Damn!
Oh, about to watch it right now. Drive impact off in the corner. Doesn't have to use any of that bar to continue unless, at least for this combo.
I knew
Enfold,
it.
Yeah.
I knew it. He was going to set up for Enfold, right? There was only a matter of time until it came out. Like that's one of the biggest things. Most of the players, they got to do it. I feel like they want that pretzel.
Like an edge. You got to scratch it. And heavy kick, careful. There's a snap. OD goes. Pierce. Oh, man, departure out and about again makes this real difficult. Does find the anti-air. Amnesia. Just to lock him down. There's no way.
Too far.
Oh, fun.
Hell, yeah, another price to pay to go through like bullet hell as well. You know, Jimmy with a very, very expensive bust out, not close enough to catch G-Roy. G-Roy with the pretty decent sized punish as well. At least tying it up in rounds. Oh, level 1, get that fist away from me, lady. Trying to bust my kneecaps.
They're far at the bottom though. All adding up here for the side of G-Roy. Could go for level 2 if they get in that burnout sequence or situation. Backs up the target combo and the knockdown sledgehammer. Walks up for the throw. Doesn't even need a drive rush. Now he does. Wants to throw the jump back medium. Now finds activation on Balak, but still we have the parry out.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, we'll take
that.
That
is such insignificant damage, I feel like, in return of what you could possibly get hit with in the level 2. That's an area, sir.
He's even backing up for that option too as well. Back to full screen. Not a lot of bar. Oh, actually, there's a lot of bar, my bad, to utilize on the side of Jimmy. Driver stand fierce from medium in. If they can find the right range, like mid-range, they can walk down. He'll just do it full screen, but that's too far, my friend. The exact reason. Crouching knee kick, the stop sign.
This is tough. Yeah, again, we talked about Jimmy DR having to expend some of the meter for the drive rush to get stuff going, but oh, so close to the corner.
So far away. There's the throw. G-Roy evening things out. And again, you see that bar usage being so imperative and important and not able to make much happen in that mid-range. You know, you get put back to full screen. You have to find your way in. But if you're too far from that driver stand, fierce, we see the crouching knee kick kind of clipping that and putting him back to square one.
That's always going to be like a difficult call. I feel like for Mauricio to kind of like go back in, face off against the bullet hell, that's going to be JP set up the departure right in front of her. What do you do now? You have to like walk it down unless G-Roy tries to be a little bit antsy. He did go for the full teleport, but nothing really came out of it. And this is where it's like Jimmy's jurisdiction, right? This is where he has to find the big swings, at least counter hook correctly. But it's G-Roy still maintaining this whole lead, especially with the double departure. Back throw does get the burnout as well. Quadriga, it's tough. The burnout is there.
I don't know how you make it back, but just like that, you take that trade.
That's sick. That's a sick freeze frame, by the way. The crouching heavy punch against like the Superman punch, like right at the same time.
The trade.
That's super cool.
Yeah, little anime right there. But G-Roy doing a fantastic job of throwing in more throws. There's a back throw though, but I do like the option to go for more throws. It's going to blow up a lot of her defensive options. So she goes for those parries, those stances, and things like that.
You see the attempt at the Gladius from the side of Jimmy, looking for a stray normal from G-Roy, right? He hasn't found a lot of success utilizing that Gladius in neutral for the most part. So I think, obviously, Jimmy, he's starting to find the strategy of just kind of like zooming on in there once he gets the knockdown. Of course, he has to commit to it, too, like with the drive rush forward.
That Sam Fierce, a lot of range on it. Finds a jump and blesses the dome, christening the cranium. Oh, brother. Up in the corner.
Same jump.
Magnum Buster again, but this time the Amnesia's out. Sam Fierce, the ghost of him right up against the wall.
Oh! Anti-air to Makara, set him down. Quadriga, level 3. A very expensive round just to tie it up. But hey, I totally get it, man. With the amount of bar that JP has down below, that comeback could have happened.
Yeah,
it definitely could have happened. So Jimmy making a pretty pricey decision of spending that bar early.
Forced to.
Let's see if it pays out. Damn, that's a punish counter. Jesus.
The forward heavy kick.
The Gators. Oh, you can't escape. Man, we talked about this earlier, man. We could have seen this in the previous round, but I like this startup for G-Roy.
In the corner, of course. OD, Amnesia, meaty stand, heavy kick. They'll put himself in burnout, but it doesn't even matter. A bad situation here for Jimmy. Finds his way out, though. Hold on now. OD knockdown. That pickup. Gladius Ender, of course.
He has to hold all of that. Yeah, while in burnout, too. Oh, okay. I wondered if there was like any sort of gap he could have done, like maybe regular Amnesia 3-back.
Oh, the reset! Both with that infold. Jimmy DR.
Man.
He said, I'm going to get that command grab, bro. I'm going to leave with something.
That's one. That's one.
I'm going to get one at least.
Hopefully of many. Like I think, like, you know, going forward, once that is instilled in your mind, it's like, damn, I'm going to try to like jump out again. But it's up to Jimmy. It's up to Jimmy to keep the mix alive, especially after that round. It's a pretty significant round to win.
Very much so. Jimmy on game point right here. G-Roy trying to route it back. Pierce. Departure's out. This time setting up the ghost up the teleport. And now, interrupting that drive rush. Trying to dash in. That's exactly what I wanted. I did the pick up in the corner. It's a defense like here for Jimmy.
Gonna hold all that. Yeah, as Departure is there, G-Roy allows himself to allows G-Roy to kind of move on in there and just kind of dictate the pace, man. One false swipe from Jimmy gets punished as well. G-Roy looking real clean to the start of game number 4.
Drive rush, stand fear starter against the fan medium punch. That's a good, like, testing the waters tool, but not against stand fear. So I get that command grab, not going to happen. G-Roy is privy to that option.
No doubt. Keep the sandwich going. Yeah, the Departure is there as well. Oh, what a delay on the standing heavy punch. He got clipped. That was a counter hit. Set up the Departure right above. Checking the lows. Hello waits. Level 2. Parried. Full punish. Oh.
So getting the bar back from that parry. That's good. That's good.
To be fair, I totally understand. I thought maybe like the second hit was going to be coming out first before the Departure hit.
Oh, this is real bad, though.
Set up in front.
G-Roy looking for that on-hit level 2. Could chip him out. try to get to that exact point. Maybe also looking for drive impact. Or it's just a wrap just like that. G-Roy tying it up. And I feel like he has these fantastic starts that puts him full screen, that puts Jimmy full screen, I should say, and then just harasses. Long distance relationship with all that. It feels like just like a maze of plasma to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's really evident that the departure is going to be what sets up G-Roy for success. Right?
Yeah.
There's been a lot that kind of halts Jimmy once that departure is out there. But committing to the drive rush, I feel like is going to be also a difficult call as Marisa. Like, how else are you supposed to get in?
You don't have
to
walk
it down, right?
Yeah, you don't have the dash speed, nothing like that. A lot of bar spent right here, but that's absolutely fine for the corner carry. Departures out and about. That's the lockdown. The jail no bail. Impact immediately. Killing that gauge here from Jimmy as much as possible.
They're asking for a lot too. Caught heavy punch cancelled. Departure perfect parry. Yes, sir. Punish counter has to commit again. If he does drive rush, that could be a little bit dangerous as you're looking for that fierce coming in.
12th to throw. Jimmy has to take advantage of this burnout state. Neutral jump, calls it out.
Yes, sir.
1-800 damage. The reset. You nasty son of a gun.
That was actually kind of disgusting. As soon as that standing light came out, I'm like, oh, he better be ready with the amnesia. G-Roy, he was caught slipping. Damn! The big old swing.
Stand fierce starter. This is real good. You see that bar at the bottom all getting built up. You out here lacking. Let's get cracking, but
too early.
again,
I feel like that was too early, right?
Yeah, it feels like it.
Because the animation was there prior to like JP going airborne. I might be wrong on that, but I feel like it was a little bit too early. Back throw, punish counter, not too bad. Drive rush again. Doing it again, spending all the meter. Yeah, and that's totally fine because Jimmy DR now, he is eliminating G-Roy. We talked about all the gripes that Marisa has in the struggle against the old man JP, but he finds the biggest opening of them all. And of course, look at that, man. That's Jimmy DR moving on 3-2.
Damage. What keeps us in the game. And Jimmy able to exercise that fact. 3-2 against G-Roy. Also, honestly, round starts and keeping them were what led Jimmy to victory in that final game. It felt like drive rush stand fierce was good against like the medium buttons continuously, the timing too as well. And that nasty little reset in the corner, things like that made it a wrap. Jimmy moving on in the bracket over G-Roy. But, fantastic play from G-Roy. Really saw him evolve as he went through the bracket. Even up to this point, definitely seemed like a different sort of G-Roy we saw when we first saw him yesterday, but not enough to take down the likes of Jimmy DR.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see like what that replay was. I want to see that reset opportunity and see whether or not JB could have gone for the amnesia in that situation.
Smash it out,
Yeah. I mean, like that would have been an interesting kind of interaction to see. But for the most part, Jimmy did a great job of like trying to keep the offensive situations mixed, right? I mean, there were opportunities where it was a little bit too early with like the infield, but other than that option, he did a phenomenal job of keeping G-Roy in check.
Yeah, making the most of all of his opportunities. Honestly, that's so nasty to get the command grab. The only one that he got off, it felt like, but it was enough to put the idea in G-Roy's mind. And I gotta say, I would like to see more OD amnesia, to be honest, from the side of G-Roy in some of these sequences. And just kind of like, if you're in that panic sequence and in that panic scenario, mash that sucker out just to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
but
that could have been it too. He would have had to punish and possibly killed Jimmy DR if he had called that reset correctly right then and there. Yeah, if he had seen that coming, he would have definitely been able to amnesia through it.
But that is Jimmy moving on to Marisa, taking down a JP. Reward is to fight Akin a little bit later on.
Yeah, so that's 2 matches already over and done with Edward Ting trying to keep the top 16 spirits alive by at least going through the opponent without any sort of L's on the side. Edward Ting 3-0ing Louis Man to I feel like I wouldn't say it's a surprise in terms of the amount of talent in the Dominican Republic, but I did not expect it to go that way just because like I don't know how often some of these cats play off against Dalsim.
Right.
But again, we saw that Ken switch up from Louis Man. Didn't pay off to his benefit. We saw that little awkward motion of the DP towards the end. Then, of course, Jimmy DR starting to make that rebuttal with that Marisa, right? Like starting to really show why he got into top 16. We didn't get to see him shine from the winner's side earlier, but when he's swimming with the Sharks, he is proven to be a shark himself. So his reward, obviously, he's to face off against Hochi. We still have yet to determine the winner between Ajax and Brian D. That's right. It's still highlighted on the left. We don't have our conclusion to that matchup just yet as we had technical difficulties prior. But we do appreciate you guys tuning into all the Street Fighter 6 action that's been happening throughout the course of these couple of months.
Yeah, it's been a lot. And there's going to be even more so as these weeks, months go on as we get towards the end of Capcom Cup. we are still hosting World Warrior tournaments. You are still able to sign up. You are still able to get in there. The Capcom Pro Tour isn't the only way to qualify for Capcom Cup 10. The World Warrior regional events are now available to sign up. They've been available, so get out there ASAP. 26 different regions, 26 regional champions, all competing for the grand prize of $1 million at Capcom Cup 10. Why don't y'all head on over to CapcomProTour.com for more information. And we're going to continue to head on with more Street Fighter 6 action. After this break, we're going to have even more of the loser side coming your way. Don't go nowhere.
You're really making all of this by hand.
Oh yeah. The avocados are hand mashed, the chips are hand tossed, and everything is made fresh.
You make it fresh every day?
Yes, every day. The Chipotle way is we make it fresh every day.
Sounds delicious.
Street Fighter 6.
Fighting is an art. And this is our canvas. Here, we flex our style, our passion, our creativity, our skills. We come here to break rules, to bend minds, to change the game. This is where we make an impression. This is where we make our masterpiece.
Street Fighter 6.
Available now.
I am with a young phenom himself, Ajax Fidelity. Burst onto the scene at Street Fighter League, specifically I would say with Team Red Rooster at the time. You were absolutely cooking up at Street Fighter League. So how in the world was that experience for you, bro? Like, you changed everything for yourself, I feel like, at that point.
Oh, it was amazing, man. It was, I would say it's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Not many people get that type of opportunity to participate in, you know, such an event.
Yeah.
I've seen all these players play online. I've seen them all the time, watching all these people, and then I get invited into Street Fighter Elite.
Yeah.
And I get to see all the players, all of them. Shen, legend. Big Bird, the NL, all of them, man. It was such a crazy and fulfilling experience. I truly feel blessed in life.
And you were beating them too.
I was.
Yeah, my man was up there. You was happy to see everybody, but they wasn't happy to see you. Okay, and you know, you hinted some to your region, bro. So of course, you know, we got Central America East is what you play in. So what can you tell me just, I guess, about your region as a whole?
It's a tried and true story. Most of the time, it truly feels like Puerto Rico versus Dominican Republic. So there's like a rivalry there. Dominican Republic has so many strong players. Like I said, Caba, Crossover, Hermes. Like there's
Hermes Benatori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't sleep on any of them.
Yeah.
And Puerto Rico, we have a couple killers ourselves. So it's always gonna be tried and true battle, PR versus DR, and you know, try our best to see what happens.
And at the end of the day, you see my man's Ajax Fidelity, always humble and always calm, but do not let it fool you. He did the same thing at Street Fighter League, and it ended bad for all of his opponents. We're gonna see exactly what he does when it comes to the CPT.
That's a couple of bad men right there. You know, Rob TV always bringing down the news and the delivery of everything that's been going on for every single CPT. Man, it's been fire thus far. And being able to cover all of those players at the same time under one roof, man, that feels so good. Hopefully we get to do that more often. In the meantime, my name is Vicious here with St. Cola, bringing down the Central America East qualifier for the Capcom Pro Tour. One of these lucky individuals will be making it into Capcom Cup 10 for a shot at the $2 million prize pool. But more importantly, the $1 million prize for first place. But as we mentioned earlier, we had a little bit of a hiccup going into the winner's side between Ajax Fidelity against Brian D. Currently, it's tied up at 2-2. However, we're going to be spinning it just a little bit. We're going to be continuing on into the loser side between Hochi and Jimmy DR.
Okay, Jimmy DR hot off that win that we saw against G-Roy on the JP. We'll see what he does against the kid. You know, now, that's a matchup we get to see from the Big Bird and Angry Bird when they do play against each other every so often. We'll see what happens out here. Hochi versus Jimmy DR, the young gun versus the old guard. Again, I'd like to see that variance, bro. I love to see the variance of the old guard still sticking with these games. I know they have other things they have to worry about, like life and things like that. Hochi, we've seen him play Okuma back in the day, and before that, Ryu, Street Fighter 5. Jimmy DR, a little bit newer, but still making waves out here in this top 8 spot. Only one can move on.
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit of a shaky startup, I feel like, for Jimmy. Like, there's certain moments where I feel like he's on the ropes, but at the same time, once he gets that bust in with Marisa, it just makes me feel like the other person is the one who's completely helpless. And that's just like the nature of the beast, right?
Yeah.
When you're looking at the way that Marisa maneuvers and the way that he hits people off of that initial strike, it's like, dear God, pray for your soul, because there's going to be a lot of damage on the line. And, you know, we've seen Jimmy risk it for the biscuit, right? He's gone through with the drive rushes. He's had the meter to kind of like hold on to, but it's like, you know, if I want to secure this round, if I want to secure another shot at this person's temple with my fist, I'm going to spend that level 3. I'm going to spend that critical art over. So we'll see how that plays out, right? Hochi, also, the way that he kind of fell short too, he had the right ideas against Kaba, right? He brought him down at least like 2 games over, so that was pretty significant. Kaba had gone undefeated up until that point against Hochi. One of the biggest things that I see as Hochi, though, is him kind of buffering low forward into Tatsu's being like a big error. Also.
Yeah.
He's been caught a couple of times over buffering in instances where the character or like where the player starts to notice and is like starts to like walk up into that proximity and block just at the right time to force some of those errors. I don't think he has to worry about that as much in consideration, but looking at the way to kind of beat Marisa in terms of like getting around the Gladius too. One of the biggest things that people look for is like what to do against Marisa in neutral, right? She has big normals that could swing towards your face. She has Gladius also to kind of blow you up. One thing's for certain, like you can kind of blow up the Gladius with lows as well if you have the right ideas and trying to outspace them too. There is a way to counter that footsie tool. So I still think overall Ken is going to be a pretty big bully in terms of the matchup. Like, you have to have good call-outs against the fireballs, too.
I think so, too.
Phalanx is a good idea, right? The Superman punch is a good idea for Marissa, good look. But overall, I think, Ken is going to be able to dictate the pace a lot of the times, just having that in his arsenal.
Aerial approach too, as well, is really hard. The fact that Ken can have that beautiful jump fierce that you already have to be predicted against, that is a blast button. The sledgehammer blessing the dome. And not only that, I've seen things like cross up Oditatsu also as an escape option, which also will bless that crouch fierce. Even if you try to time it right, Oditatsu will beat that, and you get a conversion too as well.
That's rough.
So there's a lot of things that Ken can present. If that fireball pressure does come through, if you keep it close range, harder to read with the Superman punch. And then let's not even talk about that corner pressure that Ken puts you in. The strike throw that's real nasty, that blows up a lot of what Marisa wants to do.
Exactly what she wants to do.
Yeah, and especially on defense, what she wants to get out. That's going to be hard to deal with. So has to make the right calls. And if I'm Hochi, I'm definitely looking at that match previously and seeing that Jimmy was going for a lot of command grabs. I don't know if that was like a matchup specific thing or if that was just like a tendency, but something that he can kind of lock onto and say, I need to hold north to not go south, not get clipped up.
I mean, we'll see if that actually comes into play, right? I think the command grabs is always going to be a very tough scenario to guess out of. But I think, like, if you're looking at the risk reward behind it, like, you jump out of the corner, you make that read against the command grab. I think it's worth it. Like, obviously, you're gonna maybe eat a lot of damage if you get meatied, but it's like at this. There's a certain way I feel like you could kind of like maybe option select it, but it's really, really difficult too. I think like you could probably like guard and then jump against it, but it's all really about timing and having the right read against it too. So I haven't seen it like really countered consistently. I feel like from all the replays that I've watched between not even just like the birds, but just like in CFNs in general between like Ken and Marisa, that's also going to be like a really, really tough call to see what happens. It's like if you know your opponent is waiting for the command grab and you meaty them appropriately, dude, you are eating a ton of damage off of that.
Yeah, you're eating quite a bit with it. So that buries up a drive rush, and what he does after these knockdowns will definitely help out to maybe put that fear of the command grab and work around that more so than the command grab itself. So that may be the play here for Jimmy. We'll see. I mean, Jimmy's been able to, as the matches have gone on, really exercise that damage to that character, really dump out when need be. And again, meter management has been good on his side, what you have to do to be in these upper echelons, these bigger leagues with this character. To stay solid, get the momentum, you have to have the bar to work with.
Yeah, I want to see it come to fruition, really. I want to see who ends up demolishing the other's life bar. I feel like Ken, it's stable enough to deal out some pretty significant damage. Like, he just needs a couple of touches. But Marisa, man, I feel like once she has the meter going, if the situation is there, she will blow you up at 2, maybe like a touch and a half. Also.
Yeah,
I've seen the 70%, man. That's like it's one of the biggest things that we've seen on Twitter as soon as the game came out, right? So we'll see how this plays out, right? Hochi versus Jimmy DR, both very well versed against each other, I'd imagine. But this is it right here from the loser's side. Hochi did a phenomenal job up until having to face off against Kaba. Obviously, he took down other players. He's kept it rather close, actually. On his route into top 16, he's had a bunch of 2-1s going into it. But yeah, all of his matches were very, very close.
Looking at his gameplay even previously, besides just going for that buffer that unfortunately led to his demise a couple of times, it's just a few drops here and there, not being so consistent with some of his combos. So it's either one or two things. Either you make that more consistent when you do get that because you're leaving damage on the table, corner carry, things like that, or you go for the what's quote-unquote tournament combos. Go for something more simple. If you feel like you can't push out what you need to, go for something real simple, stay in that lane. Maybe not so continuously because Ken, you're leaving a lot of access to damage and corner carry on the table. Yeah. But maybe when you're feeling like you're lacking a little bit and slacking, maybe just pull back a little bit, do like a 3-piece, maybe go for something a little bit more oaky and run it that way.
He had some interesting looks with his oaky too. There was one combo I saw saw him do earlier. He had done something into like the target combo, medium punch, heavy punch, and then just dropped it. Didn't do anything else afterwards, but dashed up for oaky and applied a medium. Like, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was kind of sneaky. Like, most of the time I would think it's like, they didn't follow up after the target combo. Normally you would get like a cancel for like a run DP or even like run Tatsu for like corner carry and oki. But in my mind I would think, that's a drop. I'm going to try to press a button. Luckily for Kaba, or pretty much in the know, Kaba didn't press a button on wake up. Like, Hochi was trying to catch people slipping off of that. Like a little early drop to catch somebody off guard can lead to a lot too. So good ups to Kaba for having like the defensive mindset to understand like the game sense of like, this is still his turn to actually press the button. I'm not going to even try to risk it.
Yeah. Also want to see the fireball game. That can be deleted and defeated by the likes of Superman Punch, but that's a really good poke. And in the neutral, like OD, switch up with like the normal. making it a little more ambiguous with the normals also could make it like a better approach against his character, like make it difficult for them to read and hit the Superman punch. One bad read means corner carry the damage, so I get it, but that still has to be a part of the game plan. The close range pokes, the fireballs still have to be applied. You have to be careful with the template.
Yeah, both of these characters have really, really high damaging corner carry combos. It's pretty scary also. So that's where you have to understand, like, both of these characters really have to tread kind of softly. I think Ken doesn't have to as much as Marisa because I think his normals are phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to, like, whiff punish with fierces or even, like, throw out the standing roundhouses as well, having the fireball equipped, like the whole nine, right? But again, we are still trying to gear up and get ready for Hochi versus Jimmy DR, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, production can keep me honest with that one. But for the most part, we are still trying to queue up. Not too sure as to what is going on between these two as of late, but full transparency, Capcom Fighters has announced that there is like a couple of things going on with some of the matches as it is thus far. And I know that I put out a tweet earlier. I asked if anybody was experiencing any sort of like lobby issues on CFN. Some of the players have been experiencing that, but for the most part, we're still trying to have this tournament moving forward. Going into it, because as important as it is, you know, like we have to make sure that we get ourselves a champion from every region that's part of the Capcom Pro Tour, right? So as much as we can talk about the matchups and keep going on and on and on about it, I gotta say, man, like there's not really much more that we could say in regards to like Ken versus Marisa, right? It comes down to like the players too, like Hochi and Jimmy DR. I think, you know, Jimmy in his performance in top 16, there were moments where I feel like he was just reluctant to do the things that Marisa wanted to do.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, be comfortable with the Superman punch. We talked about how like that may be an issue against Jury, but you have to put that on the deck, right? You have to put that as an option in the first place and then work around it. Like I know like crouching medium punch, delete that off the table pretty easily, but if you sneak that in the right moments, that leads into so much damage, and the return and reward isn't too bad for Marisa, to be honest. So something I want to see is more of that toolkit being exercised in these matchups as we go forward. We'll see if that even happens as we, as you said, are getting everything aligned up and trying to make sure that we have the best possible arena for people to play in. We want to crown a champion. We want to make sure that everything is picture perfect when they do play, so that there's no issues, no asterisks or anything like that, no problems behind it.
Yeah, and Hochi also, like, I didn't get to see his entire performance in terms of like his CFN record, but looking at who he faced off getting into like the top 16, right? He had to face off against other players like HECM, which was the guy we talked about that earlier in the storyline, where he faced off against one of the other guys to prepare himself for Kaba. Then he had to face off against other players like Kitsune, Cross, Rudy, I believe. Some of the players that I'm not too familiar with, but it still stands that some of these regions are full of killers, like even unknown killers, especially with like a brand new game that comes out. You never know like who's going to be on the up and coming in regards to like how they played over in Street Fighter 5 moving into their transition to 6. But in the most part, you know, Hochi, he's been around the scene for a very, very long time, right? You can take a look at his stats, take a look at his CFN, and he's really proven that point for the most part too. And just in case you haven't noticed, also, we had talked about this in the top 16 a little bit earlier in regards to looking up all the information of your players, your friends, and also just the current activities of the game. You can do so here.
Yeah, introducing Buckler's Boot Camp. It's a free game linked with a mobile-friendly website. It's packed with a lot of features supporting your enjoyment of Street Fighter 6. Check out your own player data as well as your rivals, your friends, the clubs that are around too as well, ranking information and more at the ease of your fingertips. You can also find more information on character information, in-game events, you know, rewards, updates, and even a column where the developers discuss the secret story behind the creation of the game. Full transparency from them, which is great to see. Make use of this Buckler's Camp and enjoy a fulfilling fighter life.
Yeah, on top of the Buckler's Boot Camp, you guys want to take a little bit of a break too and not take the fighting life too seriously? Well, guess what? There is a little bit of a mini game. Go ahead and scan that QR code and get yourself into this game right here. Pockets, right? You get to praise and develop all of the fighters that are currently available in this little mini game and train them to your desire. And that's pretty cool too. You get a little chibi version, little dot character version of some of the World Warriors and be able to kind of like, it's kind of like a, I don't know if it's like a gacha game. I haven't actually been able to play it just yet, but there are options, right? You get to feed them, you get to cure them, okay. You get to bathe them, clean them, all right, cool. You get to at least like fight against each other. Ryu, was that you in the corner of the dojo again? Come on, man. I can't be cleaning up after you all the time. But you get to fight up against each other as well. You get to train them up, check out the status, and also just kind of like fully engage in some of the little mini games that we have over in the lore of Street Fighter. You can check it out over at the Buckler Buckler's Boot Camp. Again, it's Pockets. Be sure to check it out while you scan that QR code from the previous slide we had earlier. But yeah, Buckler's Boot Camp and Pockets. Be sure to check it out. And in the meantime, we're still trying to gear up and get ready for our top 8. A little bit of inconsistencies with the lobbies thus far, but full transparency, we're still trying to work on a fix to ensure the best possible outcome for some of these matches going forward. But with that in mind, unfortunately, call us out on Twitter. We were very, very apologetic about it, but we're going to keep you guys in the loop. We do have to take another break again just to ensure that these players can play in the right suitable conditions. So in the meantime, hang out for a little bit, tune into some of the advertisements, probably get to listen to Rob and Brian F. talk a little bit more during all of this stuff. But in the meantime, again, be sure to keep yourself hydrated, get some snacks, hang out with us for just a little bit. We'll be back with more of the CPT.
Chipotle's carne asada is back. It's our most tender cuts of steak, grilled and seasoned with cumin, oregano, and coriander. Finished with fresh lime and hand-chopped cilantro. Carne asada. This is our best steak ever.
Time to work, time to work. When inhaled, coriamyrtin blocks the gamma-aminobutyric acid receptors in the central nervous system, causing spasmodic muscle contractions.
Master, it's a work of art! It's perfect!
What to do with you now? So, shall we put him out of his misery? Time for some experimentation. I bet poison would work wonders on you. I wouldn't move if I were you. Poison's on the menu. I'm finished with you. I have you. It's over. My arm's dead. Let's do it now. Here, there, then here, and... My magnum opus! Is my poison kicking in?
Street Fighter 6.
I present the Hunter from Komura.
TGS 2023 Capcom Online Special Program. Program starts September 21st, Thursday, 7 a.m. PDT. Dragon's Dogma 2. Resident Evil 4. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. Exo Primal. Street Fighter 6. Get all of the latest Capcom news with this special program. Don't miss it on September 21st, Thursday, 7 a.m. PDT.
CPT 2023 World Warrior Program. You guys all know what it is. It rewards consistency, and we see the best players from around the world compete in their regions. And today we are putting a spotlight on Mexico. Brian, this region has a few storylines going on.
Yeah, when we first were looking at this region, you know, I think the big story we were thinking of was Sol VNG being #1 ranked after 2 World Warrior events for Mexico. He got a 4th place and a 2nd place finish, showing his consistency, and therefore he's #1 ranked. And he has a modern Luke. That is his main. That's what he gets the job done with, showing that you can use modern controls and have consistency in these super stacked tournaments. So that was like the headline we wanted to go with originally. But upon further review, we missed a little detail here. We have Lou Gabo in 1st place for World Warrior #1 in Mexico. And this name rung a bell because I saw a random comment on YouTube when I played this player in ranked who mentioned that this player is apparently 14 years old and is winning CPT World Warrior events in Mexico with Kimberly. And I found a tweet to confirm it. You know, we had the picture and everything. So yeah, Lou Gabo with Kimberly, 14 years old, won a CPT World Warrior event in Mexico. Super stacked region. We've been watching for years now.
Yes, bro.
And new blood in the scene doing work. And their Kimberly is nasty. Trust me, when I was struggling and ranked against
with
them,
Kimberly
I did not think they were 14 years old. Plays well beyond their years.
Bro, listen, you know what this is? It's an announcement, man. It's sounding an alarm. It's over for us, man. It's done. This kid is only 14. We see the end of Warcraft stuff in the world.
Yes. Lou Gabo would be like, what, barely entering high school at this point?
Yes, and, bro. He don't even have certain life experiences.
Players who've been playing for well over 14 years. I mean, I've been playing, I think, Street Fighter at this point for almost 14 years. And this kid, for their entire life, I've been practicing, and they're winning World Warrior tournaments. So huge shout outs to Lou Gabo. I mean, that is unreal.
Make sure you guys are signing up for these tournaments, man. You see right now, people from all around the world, different ages, backgrounds, and of course, even characters. Yes, that means you too, JP players. Brian, why I gotta throw strays at you, bro? Why I always gotta do that?
That sounded inviting to me. That's the most positive JP comment I've heard since Street Fighter 6 release, so I appreciate that, Rob.
Make sure you guys sign up if you want more hospitality like this and some good games. CapcomProTour.com/schedule to find your region's World Warrior.
And we're back with the Central America East tournament. We're still trying to figure out things. We're still trying to get things aligned. We're still trying to make this a perfect place for them to play. My name is St. Cole, doing Vicious. We're still trying to get through this bracket. I know we've had some technical difficulties. Thank you so much for still joining with us, still rocking with us, as we're still trying to figure out how to get things to operate. Vicious, we've had some great action thus far.
we were laughing it up a little bit earlier, and I was trying to keep my cool. And he made me break, man. Hey, listen, first and foremost, thank you guys for tuning in, right? It's been a real positive experience overall with you guys just hanging out in the chat. I know the matches have not gone in the way that we were supposed to just yet, but hey, full transparency, we are having a little bit of issues with lobbies and crossplays. We're slowly figuring it out, but hey, guess what? We still have a champion to crown, so we're still going to be continuing on with the tournament just in due time, so please bear with us. In the meantime, let's take a look at how it all broke down thus far, starting with the beginning of our top 8. If we can get that production, please flip it over just a little bit to show us what has been going on for our top 8, right? We had Kaba kind of start things off. We're not going to get that graphic, are we? Probably. All right, there we go.
Ask and they shall deliver. Yeah, you saw Kaba take it down against Hochi right there. And moving on, it looks like we actually have an update. Ajax Fidelity will be moving on to fight Kaba.
Word.
Did get the W against Brian D. Unfortunately, we did not get to see that. We will see Brian D down in losers fighting out against Edwarding. And then, of course, Ho-Chi going up against Jimmy DR. So we do have those updates. We do have our stuff situated, at least, in terms of what's going down for winners finals and losers round 2.
I wonder if that's going to be like the actual final call. I know it's down there, or I know it's like jotted down in our top 8 thus far. I hope we can get that confirmation. We're still trying to figure out a lot of different issues with the lobby currently, right? Even Ho-Chi and Jimmy DR, they were having a little bit of connectivity issues between each other. But then I was also looking at a couple of other streams as well. Some other players seem to be doing all right in some of their battle lobbies, some of their ranked matches experiences, some of the battle hub experiences as well. So I wonder if it's like a region specific thing or if it's like a cross-platform specific thing. But either way, we're still trying to figure out the overall answer to it all. So again, bear with us as we get ourselves ready for the next couple of matches. We are not confirmed to show these matches just yet. And when we find out how it was exactly between Ajax and Brian D, we will be able to inform you of that detail thoroughly as much as we can. If not, if we can't get it on time sooner than Capcom Fighters can, well, guess what? You can follow them at Capcom Fighters over on Twitter. We have somebody pretty much putting down all the info as soon as they can muster it up, right? So we're still trying to work our way through the losers bracket, if I'm not mistaken, just in due time, right?
In due time. And while we talk about this online, we'll talk about some of that offline play that's coming up. First Attack, Blink. I know you're going on to Blink, right?
That's correct.
Yes,
Yeah. Logan Sama's going to be there as well. Hopefully we can get Yipes out there as well. I mean, I'd imagine Yipes has been like a mainstay for Blink.
Yeah, I feel like every year.
Yeah, I think so. But I think you're going to be out there for First Attack as well.
Yes. Puerto Rico, amazing, beautiful. If you go out there, it's more just a tournament. It feels like for Puerto Rico, it feels like you're out there to eat, to be a tourist, to enjoy the great sights.
That.
It's so great because it's like when you're done with the tournament, you can go out immediately and find great food, beautiful, just vistas. Everything is amazing out there. Everything, and they treat you like family. As soon as I got off the plane, someone was there to pick me up and say, "Hey, come on, I got you." Like it was actually wild.
You can't just do that, man. I feel like it's just like, hey, come with me. Like,
but it's people we knew. No. Obviously, someone I knew. It wasn't just like some dude with a van. Like,
all right,
hey, get in here.
Yeah.
No. It was Mono setting it up.
You faked me out. I'm like, you can't just. What?
No, it was just some random person being like, "Hey, man, just get in here." Like, hey, you know what? That looks like a nice van right there. But it was not like that. It was Mono and his crew definitely taking care of. Okay. Dang near everybody, players, commentators, everybody that was coming through, definitely making sure everyone was taken care of. Shout out to my boy Carlos, always trying to put me on the can, which is apparently a very delicious pork dish that I got to taste a little bit of, and I need more in my life. So you need to go to First Attack. You need to go to Blink. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go to Blink this year, but I'm going to try to make a 2-week trip because they're both in the same line of things. It's like First Attack and then Blink right after. Next year, it's like I'm taking 2 weeks off.
They're throwing it down for a bunch of different games too, like not even just in like the fighting game scene as well. I know for sure that First Attack has a bunch of entrants for different games, different genres, I should say.
True.
Blink also doing the same thing. I think there's a promo code out right now for Blink going on. If you guys check out Mena RD's Twitter, he's advertised a big discount code for those that happen to be in the DR area and plan on going to this. I highly encourage you guys to check it out over on Mena's Twitter. He does have a coupon code for you guys to save money in registering and also tuning into the event in person, right? This is one of the biggest events that you could ask for with such a heavily talented pool of players.
Yes.
Man. Like DR, like I'm excited to get I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm excited to get whooped by some of these DR players. Like I'm totally down for that.
Yeah, same for First Attack, to be honest. And both of these tournaments have big cats coming through. Last year, it was like Mr. Crimson was coming through from the EU side of things too as well. And these aren't even CPTs. They are just like a normal tournament put on. For Blink, I see Kakadu's out there, a few other players too as well traveling out. So it'll be great to see not only just, the DR and PR folk, but also the other competitors coming through to get that work because they understand how powerful the scene is. They understand how powerful Central America East is. And we've seen how powerful they are in other brackets, things like that, even out in this tournament. How much they understand the meta of this game with the quickness, how much they've exercised that in these matches too as well, how much they've understood what's strong about characters and what to do with their game plan as well. I think they're at the pinnacle. We talk about that. Min-RD especially, but also Brian D, Kaba, understanding burnout sequences and stuff like that. Mono too as well.
It's wild that they've become like the top players that they are, but also at the same time like the FGC ambassadors of their region. Like Meta RD kind of like do such a phenomenal job of like spreading the good word of Dominican Republic to like other regions. But on a serious note, like he's done a phenomenal job of reaching out to the other players in Japan. He spent like weeks out there to practice with them. He's done a phenomenal job out in I think it was in like the Middle East area as well, not too long ago.
Kuwait, I think?
Perhaps, yeah. I think it might have been Kuwait, but I don't recall the area exactly. But he was out there doing some work and also like providing a bunch of like games for a lot of the players there, a lot of the player base there. I got to see some of the guys I connected with over at Gamers 8 that have been like taking pictures with Mena RD as well. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, Mena's done a phenomenal job at that. Mono also has been on a ton of different like media outlets that I've seen on like his on Instagram, like spreading the word of like the FGC, but also just like esports in general. He's done a phenomenal job of like pushing that even further for his own community and also just for the FGC as a whole, right? So again, these guys have done a phenomenal job of becoming like such great examples and also great ambassadors of the FGC.
That's what we need. I feel like you have these players with this platform, with the pedigree that they have, and showcasing what we do, why we love it to other areas. It's not just like to gamers. It's like to people who don't understand this stuff, who don't understand esports and stuff like that. Especially like Mono, you mentioned Mono, he's working with the travel company of PR, things like that, talking to the mayor and stuff. Mena going out, and I feel like Mena's on the verge of hitting the Netflix show. I'm going to go front. Me and him talked about that, and I was like,
probably,
it would not be bad to see that. But we do have Netflix quality with like the likes of Reversal. If you haven't seen that document, check that out. Definitely details a lot about Mena and a few other players too as well. And you can look at that sort of Netflix quality style stuff. I'm kind of going on a tangent with content, but I like that they are representing the scene in the right sort of way.
Yeah, I need to see Tasty Steve voice over like all of that. Like, well, obviously, my picks would be like Tasty Steve to kind of do like the narration or even like do some of the I guess like some of the hosting work. Obviously, Logan Sama. Anybody from the UK, by the way, if you guys have that accent, you guys are broken. You guys are like,
that's not fair.
You guys are OP.
Actually, a cheat code.
If there's anybody from like the New Zealand, Australian scene, man, it's actually extra broken. I know like
the slang is too good, bro.
Man, just the accents in general, man. I could listen to any sort of documentary in like different accents of the English language like all day. Yeah. I could actually listen to Jammers' podcast if I wanted to and be like, damn, this is like, it's pretty sick. He can talk about anything.
It just sounds informative.
It sounds good. It sounds good, man. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I make fun of him for it all the time. Like I talk to him on I would say like a kind of like a regular basis. I would assume like,
it's a good guy.
I've been slacking a little bit. My bad, Jammers. But either way, we do digress. Obviously, this has been like the CPT podcast forum between St. Colo and myself. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, we're still trying to establish our games with the players, right? This is what we've been doing to trying to figure out like what the issue is currently with the lobbies, with CFN going on right now. Just a little bit of unlucky timing, I feel like, with some of the lobbies going down. But it hasn't affected all the regions, if I'm not mistaken, because we've seen, or at least I've been looking at like my streams also that I've been following. Some of these players are still able to host lobbies, so we're still trying to figure out what the exact root of the cause is.
I hope we do so soon, and thank you guys and gals for sticking with us regardless of this issue. I saw y'all in the chat being nice and kind, and we appreciate that because sometimes things are just out of people's hands, and it is what it is, So we appreciate y'all listening and us talking about the scenes that we've encountered. I mean, this scene right here, we keep saying it because it's a very important, very community-oriented, very family-oriented just in general. They treat you as their own. And that's why we keep saying go out to these tournaments that they have. It's not just the first attacks and the blink response and things like that. They have smaller tournaments that y'all can go out to, but they're very inclusive. They're very kind. Even when they leave, they come out to other tournaments. They still treat you like family, bro. They still see and they give you hugs and stuff like that. Like even like Solid Paja Hands, someone that I had met previously, I commentated with him once, and we're homies right now, just the best of buds. So I love these scenes. I love this community. Only got to interact with them in person for the first time. It felt like at first attack besides like Mono, but it just felt like family ever since. So I definitely encourage you to interact with them. If you can go to these tournaments, please do so. CPT or not, it doesn't even matter. They definitely deserve to have that love and have you visit out there. It's like a vacation, to be honest, bro.
It's a really good time. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of the big streamers that I've talked about in regards to what to expect from like an offline tournament is being able to kind of just like share that experience and also have something to do like other than just like the tournament itself. I think it's really, really cool to have some of these like casual setups or any extracurricular activity that you're able to do at some of these offline events, which have been provided, right? A lot of the feedback that's been really taken into consideration, a lot of these offline majors that aren't even about like the CPT have been utilizing that, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the bigger examples that we could talk about, obviously, that have passed, Combo Breaker, right? Being one of the first to establish the 24-hour venue. That thing is insane. Like, you get to meet up with like so many different people and play a bunch of different games and just hang out with like the community. Like, that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the main like retention points of like some of these events is like letting people do whatever it is they want to do throughout the entirety of that weekend. Right?
You know what was actually wild is, speaking on things to do extra. First Attack allows you to, go out there, play, stream while you're on the floor and things like that. So they give you those extra things to do. But I think we've just gotten news that we are going to be halting the stream. Unfortunately, Top 8 will be halted for today as we try to figure out, because we do want to have these players play in the best possible way. We do not want to have any problems, any connection issues. So we're going to figure that out. We are so sorry that this has happened, but we appreciate everybody, the players, the viewers, everybody at home, for just sticking with us the entire time.
Yeah, be sure to tune in to @Capcom Fighters, or at least be sure to follow along on their Twitter when we get the latest updates in regards to the conclusion of this tournament. Unfortunately, again, as St. Cola had mentioned, we just got the word that we have to postpone the tournament and the stream. We do provide our sincerest apologies again. Hopefully, you guys didn't really get taken too aback by listening to our banter and trying to figure out what the issues were.
Right.
But again, we do appreciate you guys hanging out with us
Thank you.
to the utmost degree. So again, we will be continuing the tournament at a later date. That date will be determined a little bit later on, I believe. Again, be sure to follow @Capcom Fighters. Same with @_St. Cola, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And @ViciousFGC. We'll provide all the information as soon as we can. Again, big apologies to those with the communities involved, to the players as well that are involved, but also apologies to the viewers at home and everybody just in general that have been looking forward to this event. We will be postponing. In the meantime, be safe out there in the streets. Be safe wherever you can be. Keep on playing the game if you are able to. We will catch you guys for the next one to conclude the rest of Central America East Capcom Pro Tour qualifier. Take care.